Wing Clan's elder, 3. He finally remembers where he'd seen the woman. Hurrying to move forward with bursts of sweat spewing outward, the elder didn't wait another second in his welcoming bow. "My queen, how come you didn't send a messenger ahead of time when visiting? I could have come out to receive you." The two gatekeepers who were still acting all arrogant mere seconds ago had now taken a 360 in their attitude. First it was casting a disbelieving look at their elder, then at Bai Yan's face before their own expressions changed into that of horror and dullness. "First elder, you said she's the queen?" The elder makes a deep frown in the forehead when sweeping his sight onto two fools. "Why are you not showing your respect before Her Highness?" Whatever glimmer of hope they still had was crushed following that comment. They're feeling cold right now, freezing even because they knew what's going to happen next. "What are you two dazing around for?" Seeing how there's no movement from those two, the first elder's brow got tighter and tighter. Suddenly getting on their knees, the gatekeepers began to bang their head against the cold, hard ground. "Your Highness, it is us who are blind and foolish for not recognizing you. Please have mercy and spare us from death." Watching with a ridiculing smirk, Bai Yan really had to hand it to these two in how quickly their tunes changed. The guards of the Wing clan really got some attitude there, thinking they can do whatever they like and whenever they like. "Not only did you two hurt my people, you also have the audacity to demand I surrender myself? I'm really wondering where you got such nerve and authority." Her words were like bullets, hitting the ones in charge with lethal precision because the elder wasn't so calm-looking anymore. In fact, he's shaking when he ran over to stomp the two idiots. "You two got some nerve of steel. How dare you act arrogant before Her Highness? I will report this to the king in its entirety. No matter what sort of punishment he installs on you, I won't say a word." This was it for the two guards. Crumbling in despair, they knew with the king's involvement their fates would be sealed. Everyone knew how indulging Deedsong was to Bai Yan. Even if they're not killed for their crime, being harshly punished was the least of their problems. Pleased by the elder's words, Bai Yan didn't want to continue dwelling on the matter. Summoning up a beam of light, she slices the rope binding the pig's leg. "Go check on your pet's injury. If there's any, then we'll add that to their case." "Oh." Mo Lishang answers with a nod as well. Surprisingly, the teen found no such injury after inspecting the pig's body. He was perfectly fine, merely frightened and shocked by the experience. Oink oink, clinging hard to the teen's coat, Piggy leaked both tears and snot from that aggrieved face. "Oh, precious baby here is so scared, baby here needs treatment in the heart." Understanding full well what the pig's trying to imply with that face, Mo Lishang wanted to both smack him on the head as a lesson and scold him for running away. However, he also didn't have the heart to do that since he knew the poor boy had gone through a lot. Puckering his lips to one side, "Just don't run around alone next time. Let me check ahead, so hide behind me from now on." The little pig desperately nods in return. From now on he likely won't ever take the lead because he came far too close to never seeing his owner again. "Queen," the elder makes a boisterous laugh then, "how did you know that the Wing clan is taking up house in the demonic mountain range here? It can't be. Did you specifically come to meet these old bones?" Bai Yan's expression went black like the bottom of a pot. "You're overthinking it. I was chased here by my pursuers, that's why I fled into this mountain range. I didn't expect the Wing clan to be here either." "Chased here?" The elder makes a stunned face. "Who is so bold to attack your highness? Is it those humans around the border?" Wing clan's elder, 4. "Before I go into detail on this matter, I have a question to ask you first." Making a shallow smile with a dangerous air to it, Bai Yan was giving off an unfriendly vibe. "When Deedsong told me he would conquer the celestial realm for me, how come I didn't know demons and celestials are in such a nice relationship where they would join forces?" Originally, when the elder heard Bai Yan's claim regarding the reasoning behind the conquest, his mouth inherently started to twitch, but then after listening to the ending part of that sentence his face had gotten so dark that's downright ugly. "Impossible. His Majesty ordered that no demon is to mingle with those in the celestial realm, nor are we to surrender to them. If one is found, they would be branded as traitors and will be disposed as such." "Demons and celestials unite? Don't joke. That is simply impossible." Caressing her chin, Bai Yen decides to continue after getting an idea to the answer she wanted. Then why did Hu Budwei of the foxes work with those at the border to chase me, forcing me to flee into this demonic mountain range? Hu Budwei? The elder from the Wing clan flies into a great rage. Gritting his teeth, that bastard dared to do such a thing? Damn that Hu Budwei. It was not easy for His Majesty to convince the Queen to return home after that misunderstanding. Now that fool wants to pull another one? Perhaps the image of Di Tsong's anguished face had come up again, but the elder didn't wait to defend his king on this situation. My queen, you mustn't misunderstand His Majesty. Hu Budwei has long been banished from the palace, so how can the demon community accommodate him? His behavior doesn't represent any of us, so you must believe the king's feeling for you is true. No one truly loyal to His Majesty would ever try to hurt you or those around you. Bai Yen couldn't help but break out into a laugh. Elder, I of course know this matter is not Di Tsong's fault and has nothing to do with him. After all, it was Hu Budwei's daughter who claimed I wanted to seduce my own husband by using the Fox clan's connection. That's why that old fox believed his own daughter. The anxious face from the senior instantly froze into an icicle after hearing that last bit. The queen needs to borrow Hu Budwei's connection to seduce the king? This, more like he's dreaming. Who the heck does that bastard think he is? Nothing but an exiled old man. He can't even keep his head high before the rest of the demons, let alone get into the king's eye. Queen, the elder's face appears to be in shock then, but didn't you show your jade token to that Hu Budwei? Jade token? Bai Yan's heart felt very depressed just at the mention of this topic. Tossing the blasted thing over without a care, she didn't find this darn thing any useful. When Di Tsong gave me this jade token, he told me every important demon out there has seen it. As long as I take it out, then they will obey me, but from what I've experienced, it seems more useless than anything else. How is that possible? The elder asks with amazement in his voice after catching the jade. Shrugging, Hu Budwei's daughter claims to have never seen this jade token, and she even said I stole it from her. That's why he attacked and hunted me till here. No, shaking his old head, the elder dismisses the idea. General Fireplume sent a portrait of this jade piece to everyone of importance, including Hu Budwei. That idiot should have seen it. In order to verify this idea, the elder infuses a wisp of his energy into the jade token. Almost instantly, a trace of Di Tsong's immense pressure had come pouring out, causing everyone in the vicinity to kneel to the ground in haste. A few moments later, this jade token is real, Your Highness. In order to prevent other demons from impersonating you, he had installed his own power into this item so that none can commit forgery. As long as you send a wisp of your own energy into it, the sealed aura will come out and prove your identity. Undergarment Baby 1. Musing in silence for a moment, Bai Yen eventually takes back the jade piece from the elder before turning her attention over to the pink piglet. Elder, I was only able to find the Wing clan because of Piggy's direction. He said he can feel his kinsman here. Do you know whether or not that's true? My queen, please call me Fei Flying Wing. Instead, I don't deserve such respect. Forming a smile on his young-looking face for being able to state his name, the elder then eyes the winged pig with curiosity. As a frightened baby that still hasn't recovered from the experience, Piggy's first reaction was to give the other side a hard glare before curling back into Emo Li Shang's arm, his face all aggrieved and sad. Queen, the elder frowns, with all due respect, I can't see how this little pig is related to our Wing clan in any way. However, I don't believe he is related to the pig clan either because of those little wings on its back. Oink, the little guy makes a whine before suddenly jumping out of the teen's arm again. Without so much as another word, Piggy makes a rush for the inner parts of the tribe. Stunned by this, Emily Shang makes a hard chase as he cried out, Piggy, where are you going? But no response came from those words. Instead, that little body was like lightning as it zoomed through the pathways for the central parts. Queen, this, Fei makes a doubtful look on his face. Let's go, we can follow him and see what he intends to do. Perhaps we can get a proper answer this way. Bai Yen states after musing over her options. With Dragoni's hand firmly secured, the girls also began to chase as well and eventually managed to catch up to the little pig that's already standing at the base of a small mountain. Queen! Fei exclaims from behind after seeing how the group's about to enter this place. Anxious in his face, "You can't enter this mountain." "Why?" Bai Yen asks with a perplexed look in her eye. Wiping some of that sweat from his forehead, "I don't know the specific reason, but our ancestors have left us a rule that we cannot hide in that mountain even if our clan is at the brink of destruction. Otherwise, the consequences will be hard to predict." Oink oink. Piggy didn't care one bit about that reasoning. He wanted to go up there and his eyes were extremely excited. Yen, first wiping some of those sweat off his forehead from all that running, Mo Lishang broadly smiles after understanding his friend's meaning. Piggy said he can smell a strong scent of his kin up that mountain. "Are you sure?" That's what Piggy said. Although he's a bit dumb in the brain, but there should be no wrong on this since demons are very peculiar about their bloodline. His loved ones should be here. The teen's expression was very positive because he had a lot of trust in his little friend. "All right, we will go up there and get to the bottom of this." Bai Yen evokes a smile of her own, allowing no doubt to take root today. "My queen, no." Fei Yi became extremely anxious and cried out. Hurrying to cut in between her and the pathway, "This sacred mountain will be dangerous. If something goes wrong, then what am I supposed to tell the king?" Undergarment baby, 2, you don't have to worry. When Deet Song asks, you can tell him I insisted on entering. That said, Bai Yen immediately turns to the 2 males of her group. "Let's go." Swoosh. Apparently the urge within Piggy was higher than they expected. Before they knew it, the little guy had zipped ahead again at incredible speed. Seeing this, Mo Lishang and Bai Yen only spent a brief moment of being stunned until they too followed inside. In a blink of an eye, the only ones left were the elder and his men from the Wing clan at the base. "Elder, what should we do?" The guards were exchanging looks of unease between themselves because they know the king won't go easy on their clan if something happens to the queen. Making a bittersweet smile, Fei Yi was just as helpless as his subordinates. "What else can we do?" "Go in, of course. We can't let any harm come to the queen." Just like that, the elder didn't wait and quickly ran up the mountain trail with his people. There's alarm in their eyes regarding every speck of greenery and terrain they came across. However, there were no danger to be found today. In fact, all were peaceful. Forget about the dangers mentioned by Fei Yi, there's not even a predator to be found anywhere, only the faint whistling sound of the mild breeze in the air. Even so, the members of the Wing clan didn't dare to let their guards down. Suddenly, the winged piglet that's been leading the way had come to a full stop, his face full of sorrow when staring at the distant peak. Bai Yen and others were confused by the face their friend was making, but it didn't take long for them to discover why. Tightening in their chest due to the loss of breath, none wanted to utter a word for a minute. "Fei Yi, did none of your people ever come investigate the mountain here?" Just like everyone else, the elder was also taken aback by what he's seeing. If not for Bai Yan's question, he would still be in a daze by the picture. "No, Your Highness, none of the members of the Wing clan would dare break into this sacred mountain due to the rules set by our ancestors." "Then what about other demons? Did none ever wander into this place by mistake?" she asks with suspicious eyes. Shaking his head, Fei Yi kills the idea with his answer. "The whole demonic mountain range is our territory, so rarely would an outsider come without invitation. If one does wander into the premise, they would normally be caught long before they reach this place." "I understand then." Coming up to the little guy's side, Bai Yen gently gives the piglet a pat on the back as a form of consoling gesture. Those bones in front of them have all likely been there for quite a while. Strangely enough, these things are still pristinely white, like the effects of time didn't affect them at all. But one thing's for sure though, these bones are all pigs with a pair of wings on their back. Mo Lishang, on the other hand, couldn't bring himself to say anything when seeing the sorrowful face his little friend was making. He's choking for words and wanted to cry as well because only he would know the truth. It's not like Piggy doesn't want to have a family, he just didn't know where they were. That's why they've been traveling for so long, it's to locate said family. Unfortunately, fate likes to toy with those still living. Though they've finally managed to find Piggy's kinsmen, they're all dead and were nothing but a pile of white glossy bones on this earth. Compounding the sadness was the amount of time it must have been since these creatures were alive. It couldn't have been recent if Fei Yi's words are to be believed. You. Piggy's voice sounded so painful and heart-wrenching that even the world seems to have darkened around them. Normally the gloomy atmosphere would only be a play of the mind, but in this case, it's a fact. There's a mysterious power on this mountain answering the piglet's call. Moments later, Piggy's sobbing had stopped and he began to start digging at the ground with his little trotters. Of course, the mood didn't lighten up at all and the tears continued to flow downwards through all this. Undergarment Baby 3. Piggy's body had fallen into autopilot by this stage. He kept muddling through the dirt despite his own inability to do much digging. Even so, the poor fella only wanted to do something for his kin. He may not know if some of these bones are his own parents, but they're at least his relatives. Eventually, after a long period of trotting and rough digging, a pit was made. Plop, suddenly, while Piggy was moving the bones into the hole he dug, a beady little object had dropped out from one of the skeletons. It's transparent and glowing with a milky white color that illuminated the mountain peak. Piggy of course didn't miss the sight of this thing that came out of his kin's bone. Even so, his main priority lied with burying the remains. Only after the act was done did he bother to go check up on the glowing item. Precisely then from out of the blue, a beam of light pours into the little guy's temple, causing him to drop to the floor on his bum and unsure what just happened. Immortal Shang was watching this from the back the entire time and grew anxious at the sudden turn of event. But before the teen could run over to examine the baby pig, a dainty hand from the side had blocked him doing so. Wait, Bai Yan said it with a frown, don't go disturb him, he's humanizing. Humanizing? The teen blinks and blinks in surprise. Humanizing was something unrelated to a demon beast's strength, rather it's completely by fateful opportunities in the other realms. Even so, it's very rare for one to successfully gain a human form, the only exception were those already living in the demon realm. And now Bai Yan's telling him Piggy's humanizing? By then the baby pig's body had already become enshrouded under a bright white light, causing them all to take a step back. Yen, Piggy will be fine, right? He asks with a tinge of worry in that voice. Don't worry, the humanizing process will be over soon, there won't be any danger. If I'm not wrong, that beady object is something his clan's predecessor left him. Caressing her chin, Bai Yan says it with a serious voice. Showing a doubtful face, why do you believe that's so, Yen? The Wing clan's ancestors set a rule that they can't enter this mountain and that it's extremely dangerous. Perhaps the owners of these bones were close to the Wing clan in their lifetime and had deliberately set that up for today. Pausing to set her theory straight, there must have been a power in this mountain peak that only allows its only kin to find it. That's why Piggy is the only one to set foot here. It's impossible for the members of the Wing clan to never investigate over the centuries. At the very least there should have been some youngsters who came to explore. Immortal Shang nods in agreement over that logic. What you said there is very reasonable, Yen. Thankfully you are with us as well, otherwise Piggy might have been unable to make it this far. While they were having this conversation, the white glowing light had gradually dissipated. When all was clear, there's only a milky doll of a baby boy wearing an undergarment standing there, those eyes wandering left and right at everyone watching him. Master. Stumbling to get up, the child calls out to the teen using an innocent voice and causing the other side to go dumb from shock. Undergarment Baby 4. Piggy, you can speak again. The little piglet had always been able to speak, but due to an unfortunate injury, he's since lost his ability to speak. Now for the boy to regain that ability, it's not hard to imagine how elated Immortal Shang was for his friend. However, Piggy didn't appear to be as attracted to his owner as everyone thought, contrary to popular belief. Moving that little hand, he tugs at Bai Yan's skirt. Queen Mother, please name me, I don't want to be called Piggy. The teen went dark. Piggy, I am your master, how can you ask someone else to change your name and not me? You will name me Chicky or Ducky and other weird names like that. I don't want such a name, so I'm asking Queen Mother to give me one. The dolly baby tilts his head to answer, totally uncaring for the hurtful words coming out from his tongue. Since Immortal Shang is your master, I will name you Molly, how about that? This will connect the two of you through your names. Bai Yen very much liked this new look from the piglet, so she was very happy to oblige the request. Well, at least more than his winged animal appearance anyways. The dolly baby nods with a smile. Queen Mother's naming is the best, much better than my stupid master's. 3 black lines actually materialized across the teen's face in that moment. In his mind, he had raised a heartless pig who flies away as soon as they are humanized. Why are you calling my mother Queen Mother? Dragoni asks, her lip puckering to one side unhappily. Scratching the back of his head. Just now I heard that old elder from the Wing clan calling her queen, and you're calling her mother, so together it's Queen Mother. Sister Dragoni, have we met before? I keep getting the feeling that you're related to my clan in some way. Startled by that comment, Bai Yen hurries to cut in. You say Dragoni is related to your clan? Molly desperately nods. It's a feeling I have. I'm not sure either, but that's the first instinct I got when I laid eyes on Sister Dragoni. I want to protect her. Here this brought a huge smile to Bai Yen's face. She didn't think this baby would be so slick with the tongue. What, want to protect her because of an instinctive urge? More like he has the hots for her and did it to woo her. Emoli Shang also saw through this point and directly knocked the dolly baby on the head with his knuckle. Quit trying to make excuses, Molly. If you like Dragoni, then just say it, no need lie. Am I? The baby scratches his own head like he's unsure regarding the matter. Love or no love, that's not the main importance to the baby right now. He only knows one thing for sure, and that was the voice inside of himself. It's telling him he needs to protect Dragoni no matter what, and that it's their clan's mission. Shaking his head like a rocking drum, the dolly baby forces himself to stop dwelling on the issue and came up to the girl himself. Sister Dragoni, I will keep you safe from now on. You protect me? The Missy blinks several times before breaking out into a giggling laugh. That voice was crisp like a jiggling bell, refreshing and smoothing to the ear. Why do I get the feeling you will need protection from me and Mother instead? This teasing did not make Molly feel ashamed though. Instead he starts grinning as well. I will enhance my strength and I will definitely keep my promise. This finally defeated the Missy. Running back to her mother, Dragoni hides behind Bai Yan's legs and only popped her head out to make a face at him. Even so, anyone could see she's happy about the situation and didn't mind the flattery. Finding the business here was over with, Bai Yan decides to get back on track by turning to the elder. Fei Yi, I've delayed myself here long enough, so have your people lead us out. It's time I got back to my business. The suicidal fox family. 1. Wait a minute. The dolly baby suddenly tugs at Bai Yan's sleeve. Queen Mother, I have something to give you. What? She asks with raised eyebrows. Scratching the back of his head. I don't know either, but the bead reacted when I touched it and told me there's something at this mountain peak I must take. Lead the way then. Bai Yan says after a moment of contemplating the idea. Hey. Letting go of his hand from her dress, the dolly baby toddled further up the mountain until he came before a cave. Immediately, he runs inside and came back with an old box in hand to offer to the woman. This is, carefully opening the lid after receiving the gift, Bai Yan didn't know what to expect. However, the second she did so, a brilliant ray of light illuminated the sky from within and left her blinded to its content. Monster essences, they're all monster essences inside. In fact, they're even more pure than the ones she got inside the holy domain, meaning she could directly break into the higher level of the saint rank in one go. Taking in a deep breath, she presses down the excitement coursing through her veins in order to inspect the second layer. Unlike the first though, the second compartment only had a flag in there. From initial inspection, she couldn't figure out what's so special about this item. Sure, it's threaded out of gold and had a flying pig painted on it, but aside from that to indicate it belongs to Molly's clan in the past, there's nothing exceptional from the surface. Queen, can you show me the flag in your hand? Fei Yi's eyes were glowing when he inquired for the item. Not minding it, she readily hands the flag over. Elder Fei Yi, can you tell what this thing is? She asks with a serious voice. This, caressing the flag like it's some sort of amazing treasure, those old hands continued to shake from start to end. If my guesses are right, there's a powerful demon's soul sealed within this tiny flag. However, my queen, I suggest you not summon the one in there unless you are at the celestial rank level. Such a powerful being will definitely cause damage to its user from the recoiling force of the summoning. Startled on the face, Bai Yen was taken aback by the news. A powerful demon soul? If it's sealed inside this flag, then it must be incredibly strong. Otherwise, why would Moli's ancestor go to such length in the past? I better not take any chances. Thank you for the reminder, Fei Yi. Putting away the flag now that she knows what's inside, she then scans the surrounding before speaking. Now I want to spend some time absorbing these monster essences. Elder Fei Yi, please have you people leave and set up a perimeter around the mountain. I do not wish to have anyone disturb me during this period. Please be assured, my queen, I will not let anyone near this sacred mountain. But, giving a nod as thanks, she then turns her gaze to the cave behind herself. This cave is not bad, so I stay in there until I'm completely done absorbing the monster essences. While Bai Yen finishes up her words of care for Dragoni, Mo Lishang decides to finally chime in. Those eyes of his were bright and hopeful at this moment. Moli, what sort of gift are you going to give me? At first the dolly baby only just stood there like he's lost in thought, blinking those big innocent eyes, but then his dullness quickly turned to shame. I gave all the treasure to Queen Mother, I forgot about you. This truth made the teen twitch profusely in the cheek because he really wanted to ask who's his master here. Thankfully, Mo Lishang didn't really care all that much if he got a present or not. In his view, those treasures are more useful for Bai Yen, so he's happy to oblige the fact. It's just that the ungrateful behavior from his little friend has left him somewhat sad inside. The suicidal fox family, too. Master, next time if I find treasure again, I will leave some useless ones that Queen Mother doesn't want for you. Don't get angry anymore, okay? The dolly baby tugs at the teen's sleeve, his face looking all pitiful and cute. If only Moli didn't say something like that, but now that he did, it only made Mo Lishang even sadder. I knew it, after meeting Dragoni, this little guy is no longer mine. Even the treasures he finds is going to Yen first, and the useless ones are left to me. Why do I feel like I've become redundant? Giving Moli a mournful look, the teen frowns when he responded, Moli, I feel like you should just become Yan's pet instead. Okay, talking about being excited. In comparison to the sadness in the teen's face, the dolly baby only showed happiness over that suggestion. Master, it's you who loves me the most. You knew what I was thinking without me needing to tell you. He became speechless. Oh, I am so sad, what to do? Still oblivious to the change in his master's mood, Moli turns to Dragoni and makes a huge stupid grin. Sister Dragoni, my master doesn't want me anymore, so I'll be yours and Queen Mother's pet from now on. Puckering her lip to one side, I don't want. Why? I hate pigs. At this moment Moli could actually feel his heart shattering into countless pieces. Turning to the teen using those puppy eyes of abandonment, the dolly boy tears up and was about to cry. Master, she doesn't want me, so I'm coming back to you. However, Mo Lishang's been heartbroken by his actions already. Instead of comforting him like in the past, the teen would rather turn away and find a quiet spot nearby to train. Time flows like the river water and another month quickly passes. Inside the Fox Clan's manor, Humei was having a fine day by relaxing under the shade of this tree and away from the burning sun. As a bonus, she was making full use of the free time and carving a jade pendant of her own using a knife. Miss, it's unsure when the maid Hu-Chi came over, but upon seeing the pattern on the item her eyes flashed with surprise. This pattern, isn't it the same as that woman's? Humei makes a shallow smile. That's right. I saw how pretty it was that day and wanted to carve one for myself. It's almost finished, see? Tying it to her waist, the fox demoness slowly got up from her spot and made a charming smile. Hu-Chi, come, we'll go have a stroll outside. Yes, milady. Contrary to the peaceful calm scene in the fox's home, the other demons living around the border city were blowing up with news. The reason was no other, it's the letters sent by their king about Bai Yan's about to arrive at their location. Unfortunately, none were able to claim they saw the queen, thus causing an air of unease among them all. They know full well if something happens to Bai Yan, then Di Tsong would never let them off. Somewhere not far away from the border city, the Eagle clan has taken up settlement here in this mountainous forest where not many knew how to reach due to its difficult terrain. And inside its main hall, a middle-aged man was waiting restlessly when an eagle guard came running through the door and taking to the knee. The suicidal fox family, 3. Eagle Chief, I've already sent everyone out to search and still can't find the mentioned human you mentioned about carrying that jade pendant. Can't? The chief of the Eagles taps his finger with timed motion against the tabletop. Did you look through the entire border city? Yes, Eagle Chief. We've secretly investigated every human living there and found no traces of the Queen. May I suggest making a posting at a public location to let Her Highness know about us if she comes? Regarding the settlement locations of all the demon races living here, only the Fox clan would openly settle within the city itself. The rest are very well hidden like theirs, so it's not out of the question for Bai Yen to not know where they are. No, Yu Xiang, Eagle Chief, shakes his head after musing over the option. If those people from the celestial realm finds out her identity, it's not out of the question that they would try to abduct her and use Her Highness as leverage against the king. We must find her in secrecy. Slowly loosening up his brow, let's do this then, I will go with you all to the border city. As long as Her Highness is there, then we will eventually find her. As the Eagle Chief slowly got up from his seat, a set of determined eyes flashed with life from that face because he has no intention of failing in this mission. Truth was, the struggles between the various racial demon groups in this area were extremely strong, meaning each faction wants to make a good impression in front of Deetsong and get on his good side. Yes, Eagle Chief. The guard cups his hand and respectfully complied. Let's go then. Brushing his sleeve, Yu Xiang didn't delay the matter and shot out of the hall like a lightning bolt. Following closely behind him were the guards and his most trusted confidants. Border City. The streets were lively and bristling with life here today, just that due to the constant battles between both human and demon, the structures here were very povish in appearance thanks to the lack of repair. Yu Xiang, who's been eyeing left and right until now, had suddenly stopped moving, his gaze heavily locked onto the beautiful female up ahead. But unlike the lecherous perverts roaming the streets in a red light district, his attention was more focused on the jade pendant hanging off of the waist. There's a picture of a silvery fox just like in his memories. Chief, this is the Queen's jade pendant. The guard next to him became excited and asked with a hushed voice. No, as far as I know the Queen is a human, and the girl is a fox over there. Why do the foxes carry the Queen's identity ornament? Do you need me to go invite her over? The guard eagerly offers the suggestion. No need, I'll go in person. Yu Xiang's eyes began to narrow in. These foxes are related to the Queen? But why didn't the king mention about others having the item as well? I must figure out the reasoning behind all this. At this moment, Humei was just in the middle of buying some makeup powder along the stall when the path in front became blocked by a middle-aged man. Do you need something? She asks with her beautiful brow furrowed into a knot. Miss Humei, it's been a long time. Yu Xiang cracks a smile that he deemed friendly enough to break the ice. Is your father doing well? Startled at first, it didn't take long for this fox lady to recall where she's seen this man. Retracting some of the arrogant pride on that face, she also smiles in greeting. The suicidal fox family, 4. So it's the Eagle clan's chief. Forgive my clumsiness in not recognizing you. Are you here for my father? No. I merely wanted to ask about the jade pendant hanging around your waist. May I know where you got it? Yu Xiang continues to smile widely in the face, which indirectly alarmed the fox lady and turning her eyes into that of vigilance. This is my pendant. Oh, can it be, you don't know the meaning of a silver fox for us demons? Flicking his smile in that of a smirk now, it's difficult to read what this Eagle Chief really wanted from the other side. Silver means nobility, a fox means royalty, and together it can only mean the royal family. Aside from the king, princess, and prince respectively, I don't know anyone else who also holds a jade pendant with that insignia. Don't get me wrong, I'm only curious and find it a bit strange. Humei was now on the defensive. If she had known this little ornament would cause her this sort of trouble, then she would never bring it along. Uncle Yu, Who says this jade pendant is not mine just because it has a silver fox as its insignia? Where have you ever heard one is not allowed to wear such an item? I am loyal to the king, that's why I carved this pendant using his image. It's not surprising that you would mistake it as so. Is it now? That's a pity. Xiang suddenly makes a disappointed face. Not long ago His Majesty encountered danger outside and happened to be rescued by a passing woman. Due to his injured state and fuzzy mindset, the king couldn't remember the lady's face and only knew he gave her his jade pendant as thanks. And here I thought you were His Majesty's benefactor? Looking at how the eagle man could lie through his teeth without so much as blinking an eye, those guards following from behind were completely gobsmacked by the amazing acting skill. However, this did have the perfect effect of hooking this fox onto the bait. There's light beaming out of those foxy eyes and her hand were clenching hard onto the pendant. After a brief moment of musing, Humei began to make her move by acting uncomfortably. Dear niece, no need to be shy in front of your uncle here. Go ahead and speak your mind. After all, me and your father are old acquaintances. Xiang's expression appeared very kind as if he's really taken Humei as his niece. Uncle Yu, I don't want to hide it from you. The truth is, that day. Her eyes flickered with a tangled light. That day the one who saved the king is indeed me. I don't want to take advantage of the event, but since uncle is taking me as a niece then I can only speak the truth. My only request is that you don't tell the king. Easing up her mood, Humei's eyes were all looks of weakness like a helpless maiden. After all, my sister made such a huge mistake back then, it's only right that he does as he wished to my family. Don't worry my niece, I won't tell His Majesty. With a broad smile, the eagle chief actually went ahead to pat the lady's shoulder several times to emphasize his point. Wait, what? I'm only saying it, you can't be serious about not telling the king. Humei grew flustered inside and nearly blurted out her true thoughts. There's no way this fox demoness would hold back when such a great opportunity comes across her path. It's the perfect excuse to climb into Di Tsang's bed. The suicidal fox family, 5. Niece, might I have a look at your pendant? Humei didn't reject the request and readily handed the item over. Unfortunately, this was a huge mistake on her part. The moment Xiang got his hands on the pendant, he immediately sent his energy into the jade to verify its authenticity. This jade pendant. It's fake. Niece, forgive my rush but I still have business to attend to. Here's your pendant back. Giving the little ornament back to the fox lady, the eagle chief didn't waste another second and turned away after getting no reaction from said item. Watching from behind with narrowed eyes, Humei's mouth inexplicably turned into a snarling sneer after the group was out of sight. I didn't think that woman would be so lucky to be able to save the king by mishap. Too bad for her though, she didn't know who His Majesty was, otherwise she would have already attached herself to him. Miss, are we going to be exposed for impersonating that woman? After all, she also has a pendant in hand. Expose? Humei cackles a laugh at the notion. Did you not see her enter the demonic mountain range? The Wing clan hates humanity to the core. There's no way they would allow a wandering woman free after they get their hands on her. What's more, by the time she does make it back out alive, I would have already become the king's consort. Removing an obstacle before they show themselves will be easy once I get that post. But milady, what if the eagle chief doesn't report this to the king? The maid called Hu Qi cautiously reminds her about this possibility. Stupid! The members of the eagle clan are opportunists. There's way that Xiang would give up this great chance to look good in front of the king. He will want the credit of finding the king's benefactor. That's something you don't have to fret. It will just be a matter of time before the king gets wind of my existence and come find me. Humei was laughing now. How could she not? The glorious future that she so dearly wanted was now within reach. While the fox demoness was having her delusionary dreams of becoming the mistress of her kind, Xiang had stopped walking by now after making some distance. When he saw there's no one trailing them, he immediately gave the command for his real plan. Quick, go have some of our clansmen spy on the Fox clan's estate, especially that Humei too. I'm going to report what has happened to the king himself. Eagle Chief? That pendant. One of the guards asks with confusion in his voice. That's a fake. Fake, exclaims another guard. Is it possible that we've made a mistake? It could just be like the lady says, she made it out of admiration for the king. No, there's no mistake in my judgment. It's true that pendant is fake, but the details on the fox insignia are depicted too similar to the real thing. If I didn't have a surefire way of confirming its authenticity, it's very difficult for others to confirm its fakeness. She must have seen the real thing at one point to create such a close replica. Rattled by the implication of their chief's word, most of the guards had gone mute, too afraid of what he's implying. Then shouldn't we go capture her this instant for interrogation? One of the braver ones finally suggests. We cannot do that either. Xiang shot the idea down with a shake of his head. The fact that Hu Mei would dare try something like this meant she's already done something threatening to the queen. Even if we did tie her up, there's no way she would tell us the truth, nor would she admit to the crime. We must report this to the king directly and get the palace involved. This fox family really got some nerve. How dare they touch the queen? Once the king learns of this matter, he will skin them alive for the transgression. Let's go. I need to send a letter to the king right away. Darkening in his face after saying that, Xiang's true nature of being a chief has come out. In addition, increase our search effort for the queen in the area. She must be somewhere around here, so we must find her. The king has a contractual relationship with the queen, so, if Her Highness dies, then His Majesty would become aware of her death. The fact that he doesn't is proof she's still alive. We can still make up for this blunder as long as we find her before anyone else. Bai Yan's return 1. Demonic Mountain Range. A sudden blast suddenly rocks the sacred mountain peak, causing all of the residents here to turn their head at the source. Coming out from the cave was a woman in red. She's dazzling and surreal, completely mesmerizing those who looked her way. Master, Moli starts waving his little hand in front of the teen's face like he's trying to bring him back to reality. If you keep staring at Queen Mother like that, then the old thing behind you is going to tear you apart for that. Mo Lishang instantly blushed red from embarrassment over that comment. It's not like he has fantasies about Bai Yan or anything, just that her image right then, well, in the heat of the moment, it's too powerful to the point where he couldn't turn away. Even so, the Wing clan's elder didn't care for the reasoning and had a look of an animal ready to break into him if he continued. Humph, the queen is the king's woman. How dare this brat look at her in that fashion? If the king finds out, he won't be forgiven. Yen, did you break into the higher level of the saint rank? The teen asks with a shy face. Bai Yan faintly nods to confirm the idea. I am now only a step from the celestial rank. It's starting to get late already. It's time we went back to the border city. The debts must be repaid. At the thought, a ray of dangerous light exudes out of Bai Yan's eyes, showing how much of a grudge she has for this incident. It couldn't be helped. Ever since she came to this world from her past life, being hunted by humans were not something uncommon. However, there were never a case where she was hunted by the demon race due to her son's existence. The only exception was this fox family in the border city. Queen, Fei Yi throws a hearty laugh as he came over. Do you need our assistance? Giving a smile in return for the kind offer. I alone am enough to deal with those people. Back then she didn't have the strength to overcome the foes, but things have changed. She's fully equipped for the task, so she's not going to let the pleasure of revenge to land on others. But, pausing in her voice, she turns around to face the elder himself to offer a consolation prize. If the Wing clan wishes to follow me, then that's fine, just that your group don't need to do anything. The elder grinned at that. Please be assured, Your Highness, the Wing clan will not do anything unless you authorize us to do so. Then come. Taking hold of her goddaughter's hand, Bai Yan proudly leads the way. Sweetie, it's time we went back there and made some payback. A brilliant smile blooms from the little Missy's face as they headed out of the mountain peak. Molly the dolly baby also followed from behind, of course. Sadly, his little tiny legs were insufficient and could hardly keep up pace. In the end, it was his master Mo Lishang who couldn't take it anymore and picked the boy up, leaving only the members of the Wing clan in the background. What are you all standing around for? Realizing they're about to be left behind, Fei Yi hollers out at his men to move it. Go summon everyone in the clan, we're going to cheer the queen on. Just like Eagle Chief Xiang, the Wing clan also wants to seize this opportunity to appease their queen. If done properly, their status in the court might even surge past the dragons and become second only to the royal family. Border City. Inside the tavern, chattery and loud gossiping voices were plenty here today, but there was one particular voice which stands out among the crowd. It was a middle-aged man with a huge blade next to him, and he's none other than the human Wuxiang who drove Bai Yan out of the city that day. Wuxiang, I heard you and Hu Budwei teamed up to kill a woman for the first time? The youth next to him bellows out a laugh. That's quite the story. Mind letting us here know what she did? Bai Yan's return, too. Wuxiang grins with an air of contempt at the added attention. That woman being kind to the demons is her betrayal to us in the celestial realm. Towards traitors, there's no need to be polite. As for Hu Budwei, that old fox, I heard that woman stole a jade pendant from his beloved daughter. Various looks began to exchange between the occupants. Although these people are very disgusted with those demons that's been suppressing them all these months, this includes the Fox family living here, but they would never try something like going to rob that place. The main reason was no other, it's because there's a high-level saint rank in that manor where the foxes live. Only a fool would go poking a hornet's nest. Oh yes, Wuxiang, did that Hu Budwei attack you afterwards? He's such a vicious fox, it's hard to believe he would just collaborate with us and then walk away without trying anything. Another man asks inside the tavern, his voice showing doubt about the event. It's not like this person was the wary type and always cast doubt upon others, but the demons and humans are in constant conflict here, so it's not uncommon to find backstabbing corroborations here and there. Wuxiang waves the terrible thought away because he knew how lucky he got that day. Truth be told, under normal circumstances he would turn tail whenever he encounters that old fox on the street. Yet for some reason, he found the courage to bring up the persuasive argument that day and won the gamble. One could say it's pure fluke on his end, that's all it was. Ha! The huge man guffaws a laugh. Do you know the reason why that Hu Budwei came to the border city? As it so happens, I know the specifics. He came because he wanted to conquer this city and offer it as a prize to their demon king as a sign of loyalty. But now he doesn't need it anymore. Sighing like he's lamenting about something, news came yesterday. That old fox's daughter, Hu Mei, she's going to be taken in as a consort of the palace harem. A visible uproar instantly breaks out among the tavern patron, including those who weren't part of the conversation. Their aversion to demons were true, but fearing the strong as a cultivator was also part of their instinct. After all, it's rumored that Ditsong has already stepped into the higher level of the celestial rank for a long time. Who here could make a stand against someone like that? Is your information reliable, Wuxiang? Asked the young man who first brought the topic fray. When did my news ever been wrong? This matter is something I overheard on the streets when Hu Mei was chatting with that eagle chief. That old bird told her she's the savior of their king, that's why she will soon become a consort and be taken into the palace. Taking a heavy swing at the bottle of spirit in hand, the big bulky guy didn't have a care for what he's saying. Although I also hate the demons, but I have to admit they are a race that holds true when it comes to a debt. All of the patrons inside the tavern were now very quiet, mostly contemplating on their treatment of that fox family. If those in the celestial realm didn't abandon us, we wouldn't even have to be so passive. It's only a single group of demons. The young man sighs in frustration at their own situation. Originally, the big guy still wanted to say a few more bragging comments to bolster his story, but the sudden bang of the main door being kicked over was undeniably loud. At first they couldn't make out who the audacious person was due to the powerful light from the outside, but that soon changed once they got a faint glimmer of the reddish figure and the tiny lass to the side. Bai Yan's return 3. It's you. Wuxiang points his finger in utter disbelief and shrieks out this sentence. Pounding inside, how can you be alive? Those damn monsters in the mountain didn't tear you apart? Bai Yan didn't get angry at that outburst. Instead, she only makes a derisive smile. How can I die when you are not dead yet? Wuxiang, have you ever thought that this day would come after you chased me into the mountains? The man's complexion had turned a shade whiter. Clenching his trembling fist, bluffing me is useless. If I can force you into the mountain range that day, then I can do it again. Even if this girl is abnormally talented, What can she achieve in a measly short month? At most one tier higher, the middle level? Not like our side doesn't have high-level saint ranks, so she's still a dead woman. Wu Xiong, is this the lassie whom you chased away that day? A middle-aged man with a perverted grin cuts in, his laugh annoying and irritating to the ear. You really don't know how to treat a lady properly, you know. Such a dainty and pretty thing, how can you bear to force this beautiful flower into danger? All flirting in his demeanor now. Lady, if you are willing to be my woman from now, then I can promise you your life today. Afterwards, endless riches will be in your reach. This was equivalent to courting death to say something so disgusting before Bai Yan. However, before the woman herself could take a strike, Dragoni to the side had already jumped at the opportunity due to those words. She's fast, so fast that everyone couldn't even react. Opening her mouth just like she did during that fight a while back, she directly gobbles up the pervert without a second thought before turning back to face the one whom she calls mother. Mother, this guy has too many filths inside his body. My tummy feels very bad. Bai Yan's face went black at the sight. Sweetie, how many times have I taught you not to eat random things? You don't know what they ate growing up. Take this man for example, he's so dirty inside that your tummy is hurting again. The little missy hangs her head. I know I'm wrong now. From now on I will only kill people and not eat them. The strength of these people is too low anyways. I won't eat random people again. Watching this from the rear, the dolly baby Molly didn't think so. His big black eyes are shining with light over the girl's behavior. Master, I think Sister Dragoni's eating image is very beautiful. Just like her friend, the teen Mo Lishang was also making a black face. Are you sure it's beautiful and not scary? But then again, it's very like this little rascal will think anything that girl does will be beautiful. Yen, others say that daughters are not reliable once they grow up. I say pigs are even more unreliable. Dragoni is such a nice bok choy, catch. Yet she's being eyed by a pig. Molly protested right away after hearing his master's word. I am not a pig, not a pig. I only look like a pig, I am not a pig. No. Coming back to his sense from the initial shock, Wu Xiong hurries to step back to make some distance. Shaky in his voice, your dragon's strength increased? That guy is a middle-level saint rank. Bai Yan's return for. The reason why he dared to be so arrogant just now was entirely because he thought he knew their strength, but clearly he's wrong in how easily Dragoni gobbled up that guy. If she's not at least a high-level saint rank, then how can she overcome that guy so easily? I'll repeat myself. On that day, have you ever thought about the consequences? Bai Yan encroaches in on the big bulky man, her lips curving into a smirk. Each step she took was equivalent to a drum hammering at his poor heart. Wu Xiong's had fallen into a panic by now, and when he backed up he didn't even realize there are things behind himself, causing a series of crashes and wine to spill over from the table. Run. After a quick exchange between the patrons, everyone in here promptly began to flee for the outside upon realizing the spiraling situation. Surprisingly, while these cowards made a run for the door, Bai Yan remains unresponsive and never shot glance to her back. Towards this picture, Wu Xiong knew this was his only chance as well. Unfortunately him though, right as he's about to run forward as well. One step, that's all, that's when the crowd came running right back inside after they ran out. This was a huge red flag for Wu Xiong, so his feet petrified on the spot as he stared into the woman's horrific gaze. What happened? He grabs at the nosy youth's collar who first started the rowdy discussion earlier in here. Showing a despairing face, a lot of monsters. There's a lot of demon monsters outside the entrance. Monsters? What are you afraid of? Is it the Fox family? Is it the Fox clan after they got wind of this woman's return and purposely came to ambush her? No. It's not the Foxes. What? Wu Xiong was stunned. If it's not he Foxes, then who can it be? Wing clan, it's those monsters from the Wing clan. There are a lot of them. They've surrounding the whole tavern. The youngster breaks into tears, crying out as he burst forth his words. He never participated in that chase, so technically this has nothing to do with him. If anything, he's regretting the part about visiting the tavern today at all just for a single drink. Damn it, Why did I step out of my home today? Now my life is in the hands of these monsters. Acting like she's not seeing the grim white faces of everyone around herself, Bai Yan continues to stroll towards the big guy with an increasingly intimidating air. Looking at that cold, frosty smile, Wuxiong instinctively made a gulp. And then, without anyone expecting it, plop, he actually got on his knees and begged, "Oh, great merciful, I won't ever have the galls to make trouble for you again. Out of consideration for my blindness, please spare me and not have that dragon eat me." Wu Xiong's not blind, nor was he dumb by any stretch of the word despite his gruffy appearance. Anyone who could make it to the middle level of the saint rank are genius among geniuses. That's why he could discern the little missy's strength was far superior to his own just based on the fact that she could eat the first man. Ignoring the sad image laid before her eyes, Bai Yan instead spoke to the youth nearby. "You go to the fox's manor. Go tell them I'm back." "Huh?" The young man became dumbfounded, his eyes turning left and right for confirmation from his peers. "What does she mean by that? Is she letting me leave? If that's the case, then I can make a run for it. This world is so big anyways, finding another city to hide in is easy. I'm not going to die here just for the sake of this Wuxiong. Don't think about running away." Bai Yan read through the youth's thought and chuckled at his obvious face. "I'll have the Wing clan follow you with their people, so don't try anything funny if you value your life." Crying again, "Yes, I will go to inform the fox family without fail." A Demon's Slave 1. Once the youth in question finishes leaving the tavern, Bai Yan didn't start her carnage nor did she attack anyone. Instead, she gave them all a sweeping glance of her gaze before taking a seat on one of the cleaner chairs here and began tapping her finger on the tabletop. "Those who chased me that day, who else do you remember?" she asks the big guy with that unchanging smile. No answer came, only a hanging silence in the air. "It's fine if you don't say just that." Lazing against the back of the chair, she stretches out her arm and pulls Dragoni over into her embrace, those fingers caressing through the girl's hair with a sly smirk. "Those people of mine outside are hungry. If you're not afraid of them tearing into you to feed, then go ahead and cover for those involved." Though that remark was soft and melodic to the ear, it's the same as a death threat to Wu Xiong. Shuddering, he raises his head in horror. "I'll speak." Without ado, the big guy spilled the beans on everyone he knew that was part of the chase. Thankfully his memories are good, so the names came easy. It's not like he doesn't want to resist. After all, this was the same as selling out everyone in the city, meaning a target was now firmly planted on his back from now on. "Half an hour, find everyone on the list and bring them here. Don't think about escaping. Even if you run to the ends of the world, I will have ways to find and turn you to ash." Wu Xiong's heart shuddered at those words, his face white and full of despair. "Great merciful, what if they won't come with me, what then?" Turning sharp at the suggestion, Bai Yan had an air of dominance. "It matters not if they are willing. My subordinates will follow you, and when they refuse, they will take them whether they agree or not. Your job is to lead them, and that's all you need to do." The big guy gulped at the impending event, showing a face uglier than watching his own manhood go limp. "Please, lady, if I were to find them for you, can you spare this dog here?" Showing contempt at this shameless bastard. "First off, dogs are also an ethnic group among the demon race, so your words are not a plea to my ear, it's an insult to said dogs. Secondly, you don't have the qualification to bargain with me. Don't forget, this whole thing was caused by you. As the leader, you think I will let the mastermind go?" Wu Xiong's face was now so pale that it's hard to find any traces of blood on his face. He knows, Bai Yan's not going to spare him. Now the issue was, what does she plan to do with him? But, suddenly adding this in, Bai Yan's lip curved into a smirk and raised a hopeful light in the man's eye. "If you can't even manage to do what I've given you, then dying will be the least of your worry." In that instant, that flare of light had died down again. Even so, Wu Xiong's not going to give up just yet. He's made it so far in life, he won't allow himself to perish so easily. "Lady, I will go right away. Maybe she will at least let me live if I perform well." In a flash, the man's big hulky figure was gone and out of sight, disappearing from the eyes of the patrons left in this tavern. "Lady, everything was orchestrated by Wu Xiong." We here did nothing, so can we leave? One of the braver patrons decides to ask after losing their nerve and patience. A demon's slave, too. Do you really expect me to believe your hands are clean and abstain of blood? After the demon realm's seal was lifted, the amount of battles between human and demons are endless here in the border. The heart of these patrons quivered, unsure of what Bai Yen was implying by that. The demons are filthy, dirty monsters. What's wrong with us killing said monsters? What's more, most of those demons would commit suicide as soon as they are captured. Even if our hands are stained with blood, what does their death have to do with us? Despite their inner protest, none of them dared to say it aloud, only hanging their head low and avoiding eye contact. Fully aware of the discontent of everyone, Bai Yen slowly gets up from the chair and stood before them all, her face cold and daring. Unfortunately, I am a woman that doesn't like others touching my things. All the demons in this world are my subordinate. Since Song is busy preparing for war with those in the celestial realm and can't pay attention to these minor details along the border, I naturally have to the duty to handle these things for him. Stunned looks were aplenty among them all, their eyes full of shock when staring at Bai Yan's figure. Why is that name so familiar? What did she say? Going to war with the celestial realm? Quit joking. What sort of place is the celestial realm? Nothing but a measly group of monsters. How can they even dare to fight those divinities up there? Then, lady, what do we have to do to make you let us go? A man in a linen-colored robe asks with a stuttering voice. For this individual, he doesn't care what happens between the two realms, he only wants to know if his life could be saved today. It's not impossible to let you live. Whatever you owe the demon race will be repaid using your own life as slaves. For generations and forever, you and your descendants will never escape that debt. A debt must be repaid, and a blood debt must be repaid with blood or life. In Bai Yan's view, the entirety of the demon race are her subordinates. If they commit a wrong, then it's her right and duty to punish them, but others are not permitted to touch them unless she allows it. What's more, it's undeniable that she holds partial responsibility for the perished demons here at the border. They died while fighting for the sake of the demon realm, and it's her careless remark to Song who started the whole war. Oh lady, you might as well just kill me then. The linen-robed man made a crying face. Be slaves to the demon race, and my descendants as well? She might as well just outright kill me, that way I will be happier. Crossing her arms around the chest, Bai Yen arches a brow. Dragoni, is the man you swallowed still alive in your belly? Hi. Blinking her eyes in confusion over the sudden inquiry, Dragoni answers honestly without any forethought on how terrifying her words were. Yes mother, he is still alive. Without anyone helping me, I have only digested his leg. Can you spit him out? Bai Yen. She's an obedient and good child. Using action to show this, the little missy's mouth slowly grew larger and larger until it's big enough to cover her whole body. Then with saliva and blood, the perverted man from before was spat out in one single throw-up. In this second, not a single thing dared to move. It's so quiet that even a needle dropping on the ground could be heard. The reasoning? It's because the perverted man from before was now laid before their eyes, and just like the little missy said, only the leg was digested and those sparkling white bones were free for all to see. As for the distorted face of pain and agony from the man, nobody wanted to look at it because the corrosive green liquid had eaten through the outer skin, so only the flesh and veins were showing now. This man, is he actually alive? A demon's slave, 3. Unable to bear it anymore, the patrons all turned their heads away, not willing to spare another glance at the partially digested man. However, the faint melodic voice of their worst nightmare wasn't going to let them do that. When Bai Yen spoke again, almost everyone jolted in some way over her voice. Dragoni, this man is too filthy with all those polluted elements in his body. Now is good, there's so many people here in this tavern for you to enjoy. This time that linen-robed man who wanted to plead for his life was now openly sobbing in tears. Lady, I'm only joking. Joking? A slave? Those from the celestial realm aren't taking us as people anyways, being a slave is no different. Please don't let her eat me. What's there to fear in death? Nothing, only a split moment of pain before it's over. But going in this fashion, being slowly digested and corroded alive? That's too much to take. This person just couldn't accept such a fate. Dragoni unfortunately didn't understand Bai Yen was only using her as an intimidation, so her outburst was that of grievance and unwilling. Mother, I won't eat this man since he's going to be your slave, but can I eat the others here? I've been hungry for so many days already. Didn't that Grandpa Fei feed you while I was in closed-door training? She asks with a warm and kind face, totally different from when confronting these other humans. The little dragoness shakes her head pitiably. Be good, we will get you whatever you like once we are done here. Giving the young Missy a rub on the head, her attention promptly swept back to her targets. As for these people, you can go ahead and eat anyone who disobeys, no need to spit them back out. The tavern patrons all shuddered for the umpteenth time today. They all had a dreaded look on their faces, which quickly changed to despairing acceptance once they finally looked down to the wriggling mass of flesh and bone on the floorboard. Mistress, I am willing to be your slave, please spare me. Whoa, I don't want to be this little girl's food, I'm very good, please don't let her eat me. Whatever resistance they had was now gone, their willpower shattered from the repeated blows of shock and great scare. This method of death, it's too cruel, too cruel. No, Bai Yen faintly chuckles at their misconception, your mistress and master aren't going to be me, it's the demons as a whole. You lot are going to serve them all for the rest of your lives. This world has always followed the natural order of strong eating the weak. Back then demons are inferior to humanity, so they could only be hunted for their skin, core, and flesh in exchange for material wealth. Well, now things have changed and it's time she got things in order to balance the unequal exchange. Mother, the little Missy timely tugs at her sleeve, those eyes bright and worried. Don't be sad, mother, I will help you protect the demons of this world. Moved by how filial her goddaughter was, Bai Yen couldn't help but give the girl's cheek a pinch to show how much she adores this appearance from Dragoni. A demon's slave for, okay. In this life, the only ones she personally took action to kill was that snake and the first elder's goddaughter, and that's only because both women wanted to either do her son harm or frame herself. As for those ancient creatures inside the holy domain, they're nothing but illusions created by the great being who first managed to construct the secluded dimension. Pity though, these humans are different from herself. They never showed mercy to the demons, only greed for material wealth when hunting others, and that's something she already confirmed by tasking Fei Yi to probe the reasoning for the main conflict here in the border city. Dragoni, I remember there is another kind of contract between humans and demons, that is the anti-contract, correct? It's true human beings are able to contract various demons through a forceful ritual, but it also means it could work vice versa. The only real prerequisite was to have the demon be stronger than said human during the process, hence the common practice of the one commanding the ritual to always be stronger. Curling those little brows, Dragoni muses for a moment before answering, I've just searched through my memories, I think there is such a contract, mother. Good then, Bai Yen pleasantly smiles, go ahead and use the anti-contract on these people. I want them to be the demon's servant for the rest of their lives. The people in the pub were appalled by the demand. They originally thought their enslavement only meant servitude like a lord to a subordinate, not something drastic like becoming a demon's familiar. Yen, contracts are divided into 3 types: equality, servitude, and slavery. Mo Li Shang decides to join in to offer his insight. Equality is of course when both sides enter into a mutual contract on fair terms. Such a binding will do nothing but deeply bound both parties together through this method. As for the servant type, it's the more commonly used one when someone wants to make another bound to them. However, once the master's soul is destroyed, the servant in question will also die. Bai Yen didn't question the authenticity of that knowledge. She and Di Song are also in a contract, the equality type, while Tsing Yi and Little Rice are in the secondary kind of servitude. As for the last slave type, it's the harshest of them all. Whatever the master says, the slave must obey the order to the teeth. If defied, the pain they would experience is worse than death itself, or so that's what they say. Mo Li Shang then casts his examining gaze across these people, that face showing no pity. I believe the slave type is perfect for this bunch. After all, They've killed so many already, so it's only right they pay for their crimes. Back when he didn't have Piggy, Molly, by his side, the teen himself never felt much from seeing the death of demons, but that's changed through the relationship he shared with the little rascal. He wants equal treatment for his friend, whether it be demons or humans, everything must be fair. Finding there are no reaction from the bunch yet, Bai Yen decides to give them a shove. Now, make your choice. Become Dragoni's slave, or do you wish to take a swim in her stomach? Take a swim in her stomach? Scared out of their wits, the first of them starts to cave. Great lady, I'll be a slave, please don't have me go swim in her stomach. Mother, there's a psycho here. One, good. Pleased by the answer, Bai Yen didn't make it hard for them anymore. Now I will have my daughter anti-contract you guys. Whoever disobeys and fail to complete the ritual will not be given another chance. In this city, there will only be two types of people, one that is enslaved by demons, the second being dead ones. Her statement was sundering, causing the patrons here to tremble profusely in anticipation for their dreaded future. Then without any warning, a humongous force comes slamming down from above, netting them all and binding their souls to the spot. Many inherently wanted to resist, but the invisible hand had gripped onto their neck and making it difficult to breathe. Fortunately, this uncomfortable sensation passed quickly. Half a ring later, the invisible force had gone away, leaving only their souls deeply marked with a sigil and never to be erased. Mother, it worked. Dragoni happily confirms her success by throwing those arms around the woman's leg. These people are my slaves now. Well done, Bai Yen answers that glee with a pat of the head. After we are done here, I will reward you with a hearty meal tonight. Is it made by Mother? The little missy asks with hopeful light in those blinking eyes. Bai Yen nods with a smile and garners a burst of giggling joy from her daughter. Brother Highness said Mother's cooking is the best, better than those chefs at the restaurant, but because he said it's too hard on Mother that he doesn't ask for it every day. Warmed by that little bit of knowledge, Bai Yen didn't question the authenticity of those words. After all, the little steam bun has always been the lovable son that she loves. In her view, the greatest thing to happen to her was to give birth to the boy. Lady, we've all listened to your demand, can we leave now? The one speaking showed a flattering face with no hint of deception. However, Bai Yan's cold returning stare had scared him so hard that he immediately shuts up. The good show isn't even here yet, what's the rush? Let's wait until the curtain is drawn first, it won't be too late then. For those listening, they have an aching suspicion today's going to be a bloody one. Center of the border city, Fox Manor. At this moment a young-looking man has been pacing back and forth between the front gate, his face showing tension and unease. What do you want? Suddenly, a loud bark came from within the estate, scaring the frightened lad into a jolting jump. He didn't reply to that question, of course. Instead, he turns to sneak a glance at the Wing clan members hiding in a corner of the street before turning back to the guards. Nothing but a human, how dare you flaunt yourself before the fox's home? Cold in their face, one of the more daring of the guards had drawn his blade and placed it on the lad's neck. Speak, who sent you? Pale in the face, the youngster squirms with his leg before responding, I'm here to seek an audience with who Bud Wei, or who Mei will do too. Snickering at that pompous demand, humans and demons are fire and water, who do you think you are to make such a demand? But since you are here already, you can forget about leaving. Mother, there's a psycho here, too, swoosh. Holding it high, the guard ruthlessly slashes down. Wait! In his panic, the youth crumbles to the floor and lands but first there, urinating his pants in the process. It's Wu Xiong who tasked me to come, he said he's caught the woman. Thankfully his fate wasn't meant to end today. Right as the blades about make contact to his head, a charming cheer of a voice comes jaunting over. Hold it! Wearing a long pink dress, this lady had the most mesmerizing charm of a seductress. I'm saved. The young lad thought, both fearing and relieved of this woman's entry. Truth was, he had originally wanted to say it was Bai Yen who sent him here, but upon realizing the folly of that answer, he swiftly changed it to the big bulky man's name instead. Who would willingly walk into a trap? No one, that's who, not those clever enough anyways. The woman you're talking about, is she dressed in red and is surrounded by a little dragon girl? Gently frowning, Hu Mei asks with a low voice. Yes, it's her. He nods in a hurry. The woman isn't dead after entering the demonic mountain range? The fox lady's heart sank at the thought and causes her hand to reach for the jade pendant around the waist. She may have been lucky enough to come out of the mountains, but as soon as she did so, Wuxiong had captured her after his men became aware. Suspicious in the face, Hu Mei tries testing the young lad by poking at his story. I remember Wuxiong is not her opponent. How did he capture her in the first place? Despite hearing his heart smashing into a puddle, the young man didn't crack and hurried to explain. That woman may have survived the ordeal, but she sustained some serious injuries. That's why Wuxiong was able to take advantage of the situation and capture her. I'm here to inform the Fox clan this news at his order. Pleased by the story, the lady smiles wildly and shot down any suspicion she had earlier. Very well, I will go with you to meet Wuxiong then. Having said that, Hu Mei turns and orders the men behind herself, go inform my father of the news. I will go ahead and inspect that woman first. That's not a careless remark either. It's an indirect warning to the young man that her father will also be coming, so don't try anything. Yes, milady. The guard respectfully complies and went inside. Lead the way, we're going to see that woman. Okay. One couldn't even begin to describe the joy felt in the frightened lad's heart. However, he also knows better than to show his true feelings right now. As for Hu Mei, she's still blissfully oblivious to the disaster awaiting her at the tavern. In the fox lady's mind, she's still calculating on how to torture Bai Yan and rip the secrets from her mouth. Study room. Sitting in front of his desk, Hu Budwei was flipping through the books with a furrowed forehead. He doesn't understand it himself, but he's got a strange sensation that something huge was going to take place in the coming days. It's then one of the maidservants carelessly knocked down one of the books from the shelf and exclaims from the mistake. Mother, there's a psycho here. 3. Heavy in his mood, Hu Budwei snaps with irate eyes. What good do I have for a maid if you can't even do a simple little thing like that? Going white in the face, the maidservant dropped whatever she was cleaning and turned the effort into a desperate bang of the head for mercy. Milord, please spare me, I know my wrong. Please give me one more chance, I'll do it properly from now on. Waving dismissively at this, the fox chief didn't need to do anything else after that because the guard outside knew better than to allow this farce to continue. Truth was, this man hadn't always been this harsh to his own housemaids, just that. He's not sure why either, but lately his mood's been getting worse and worse, so any mistake from the servants would trigger his ire. Alone after the maid's been dragged away, Hu Budwei didn't know what else to do. The room's eerily quiet after his outburst, and that's when his eyes fell upon the distracting slip of paper sticking out of the pile of books. Picking it up from the floor, his eyes widened in horror because the picture portrayed on there was the very pendant displayed by Bai Yan on that day. Sniffed. I remember now, I remember where I saw that woman's jade pendant. Not long ago, the king sent people to pass him a letter with this very picture. The contents were a message to all important individuals about the queen's identity and her identification trinket. But that day he's already decided to come to this border city, hence his reasoning for tossing the material aside for later memorization. However, that plan became lost the following day due to unplanned events. It's no secret the Fox clan, including its branches, are all very strong demons due to its relation to the royal family. Unfortunately, that doesn't help in any way regarding their fatal weakness of having short memories. So, when shown this picture of Bai Yan's pendant again, Hu Budwei's head flew into a despairing outburst of despair and rage. Someone come, bring the second miss to me this instant. A guard outside comes in a hurry again and kneels in respect. Chief, the miss went out already. I don't care where she went, go get her right now. He snaps in fury. Hu Mei was his second daughter, and also his pride, that's why he never questioned her made-up story. Now to be thrown the truth of pure deceit and treachery, it's unforgivable in his eyes because it's no longer a simple little mistake of trying to seduce Ditsong anymore, it's harming and attacking the royal family. Chief. The guard shivers in fear, not knowing why the fox chief was so outraged. Just now a man claiming to be Wuxiong's people had come to pass a message. He said the woman from the dispute the other month has been captured and is requesting the lady and your attendance over on his end. Bang. Losing his balance, Hu Budwei completely knocks over the stuff on the table. Clenching his fist tightly, that damn girl went where? Go gather everyone this instant. We need to bring her back. She mustn't make any more mistakes. Otherwise, no one will be able to save us anymore. After dropping this order down, the fox chief didn't waste another second and practically threw himself out the door, his face full of unease for what's to come. Mother, there's a psycho here, 4. At the same time while all of this took place, Wuxiang the eagle chief had been in the middle of looking out at the streets from a restaurant, his eyes seemingly contemplating something in his mind. Then suddenly, the door to his room were pushed open and in came an especially scrawny yet tall-looking man. Kneeling there, Eagle Chief, I came to inform you there's movement at the Fox's manor. Yu Xiangs pricks his brow. What happened? Speak now. Just earlier someone went to find Hu Mei, saying they've caught the woman from a month ago who fled into the demonic mountain range. She's currently rushing over to verify the truth of that news. The mountains? Isn't this stretch of the mountains the territory of the Wing clan? Musing over that knowledge, he paces back and forth a bit before speaking again. I just saw a lot of the Wing clan members coming through in the city. Can it be? It's related to the queen? There's no mistake, it's very likely they're talking about the queen. Go! All serious in his face, the Eagle Chief was rearing to get into the action. We're leaving now. The queen is waiting for us. Yes, Eagle Chief. Since the Wing clan was ranked among one of the strongest ethnic races in the demon realm, similar to the Dragon clan, it's bound to raise some ruckus when they made a move today. The demons in the border city were quick to pick up on this, of course. That's why they sent their own spies to investigate the matter. However, before they could get a proper answer from their own men, the eagles also began to move. Now that's a huge red flag for the rest of the demon clans, and they could smell the unusual air even from afar. To be perfectly clear, the humans living in this border city were nothing compared to the number of demon forces amassed at the surrounding lands. The only reason the residences here in this place could remain unharmed to this date was much thanks to the insignificant nature of this settlement. It's crummy, a backwater that yielded no worth for conquest. Now imagine a force easily able to trample them into the dirt appearing from out of nowhere and from all directions. It's not hard to picture the level of unease and fear felt by the clueless humans. Is this the power of the demon realm? Why did they never show any sign of having this many in the region? They could have long conquered this city. But why so sudden? While things were moving away from her visible view, Hu Mei had just arrived outside the tavern indicated by the young man. But before she stepped inside, her eyes subconsciously looked up to the big blue sky without reason. Miss Hu Mei, what's the matter? Asked the young lad. Shaking her head. Nothing, let's go in. Is it my illusion? Why does it feel so oppressive all of a sudden, like there's no light in the sky at all? Maybe I'm overthinking this. Shaking away the silly thought, Hu Mei no longer dwelled on the matter and pushed open the door. The second she stepped inside, what welcomed here wasn't the image of a female bound by ropes. Rather, it's a bunch of men kneeling on the floor with a single female in red standing at the back of the establishment. Mother, there's a psycho here, 5. Was it nice trying to kill me that day? Bai Yen asks with a heavy smirk. Hu Mei's face went greatly white. Turning to the young man, she grits her teeth in rage. Did you not say this woman was caught by Wuxiang? How dare you deceive me? Ignoring the death glare, the person instead hanged his head low and walked over to Bai Yan's side for safety. If I didn't say it like that, would you have come? You, steaming red in the face, she turns back to the mastermind in question. If my father can chase you till you're fleeing into the mountains that day, he can do it again today. That made Bai Yan burst out laughing this time. Your words. Wu Xiong also said the exact same thing earlier, and look, isn't he kneeling there begging for mercy now? Wu Xiong. The fox snarled. He is only a mid-level saint rank. In comparison to my father, he's nothing. But if you are willing to give me that jade pendant in your hand, then I can consider sparing your life. As long as there's no pendant, then it's pointless if she claims to be the king's savior. There's no proof, so no one's going to believe her. Bai Yan could care less about why this deceitful fox wanted to eye her jade pendant. However, it did raise her intrigue. Raising a brow, her shallow smile beamed with cunning glee. Give you my jade pendant? That's not impossible. If you come over here in person, then I'll give it to you. That immediately rouses a huffing grunt from the fox. Is this woman taking me as a stupid fool? I'm obviously not her opponent. If I go over there, then it's no different from going to my doom. Great lady, mistress. A middle-aged man snails forward and shows an ugly-ass smile in front of Bai Yan's feet. This bitch is too impudent. Please let this incompetent one here a chance to subdue her? That smart move from the individual instantly earned him a series of angry glares from the rest in the back. They knew being opportunistic here was the smartest move to go, and it's been taken by this one and leaving them all behind. Hu Mei, on the other hand, was stunned, as well as the young man who brought her here. They're both having a hard time believing their own ears. Great lady? Little mistress? What the heck is going on? Song Mu, the young man quivered, asking the peer beside himself for some answers. What's going on here? Why are you calling her and the girl that? Oh, the great lady name is because of Wu Xiong, he called it first. As for little mistress, the person who was asked evokes a flattering smile when facing Dragoni. We have all become slaves to the Great One through the anti-contract ritual. From now on we will use our remaining lives to service the demon race in order to earn forgiveness. The young man just gawked, his mouth wide open, staring at thin air for a good while before coming back to his senses. Then, without any indication, he throws himself at the little missy's leg and holds it tightly. Little mistress, please contract me as well. I don't want to be a special existence. This group of bastards is obviously doing it for the sake of their life. If I want to live, then I must do the same. Dragoni, on the other hand, didn't reciprocate to that suddenness clinginess very well at all. Jumping backwards, the little missy's face was full of panic. Mother, there's a psychotic pervert here. Little mistress, please have some mercy and contract me. I really don't want to die. Get away from me. With extreme fear, she directly stomps the young man away and hid behind Bai Yan's body, her face all aggrieved and puffing like a little child. Mother, there's a psycho here. 6. Mother, these humans are so scary. This is the first time I met someone who will cry to be our slave. Is he crazy? Caressing her chin, Bai Yan had to wonder the same thing. I speculate he is. Don't worry about it, okay, sweetie? Just keep away from this sort of people lest they infect you. Okay, I'll listen to you, mother, and stay away from this guy. The casual conversation between the girls only made the young man even more anxious. He's too afraid they would kill him right after they're done with him. Hu Mei, on the other hand, was infuriated by the picture. Biting her lower lip, that body shakes uncontrollably due to the broiling emotion. Father tried for so many months and can't get these stubborn humans to surrender, yet this filthy which can make them submit after she spent how long here? Numerous ideas and schemes flickered through the fox lady's mind, but in the end the only thought that won out was to flee. She's not delusional. Hu Mei knows the tide has changed and it's Bai Yan who holds all the cards, or at least until her father arrives. Are you thinking about how to delay until your father comes? Getting into a lazy posture, a sly smile creeps into Bai Yan's face. But since I dare to come back, it means that your fox family can no longer threaten me. Sweetie. That one cry was all that's need to summon the little missy, who was still acting all fearful mere seconds ago. But instead of a frightened face, Dragoni had on an angry face as she shot death glares over to the fox lady standing at the doorway. You evil woman tried to hurt my mother. I'm going to kill you today. Mother said I can't eat people carelessly, so killing her shouldn't be a violation of that rule. Increasing her momentum, a huge gust of wind began erupting out of that tiny body, causing some of the less sturdy to tumble backwards. Among them were the young man who had just returned. He's shocked and astounded by Dragoni's immense aura, which directly causes him to make a heavy gulp and thought, I got lucky. She clearly just kicked me and I'm alive still. You, Hu Mei's eyes stared out in disbelief. High-level saint rank? You are a high-level saint rank. Damn it, this dragon girl actually made such huge advances in a measly short month. No wonder she dared to come back. It's all because of this girl. I'm going to kill you. Dragoni began to close the distance with each encroaching step. Under that oppressive air, the fox lady fearfully stepped back as well. Daughter of dragons, as a demon, why are you aiding this human? Don't forget, I am a fox, a being related to the royal family. If you harm me, then the palace won't let you go. Even if her branch has been expelled from the palace and driven to this backwater of a city, she's still certain the palace won't take this transgression lying down. After all, Deedsong's a fox and she too was a fox. That's a fact and not a whimsical delusion. Of course, pretending to be the king's savior also helped in her ego here, so that too. Acting like she's deaf to the threat from the other end, the little missy huffs a snort and began to release her might in full, shrouding and crushing the fox in suffocating agony. Sure enough, Humei couldn't take the force and spews blood from her mouth, turning pale white as well in the process. Stop this. If you kill me, then you will become the enemy of the entire demon realm. By then you won't have a good ending either from the endless pursuit. Humei screeches, nearly falling to her knees this time around. For those who are still clueless to Bai Yan's identity, mainly those humans kneeling on the floorboard, they definitely got their wits rattled by that comment. It's true Hu Budwei was very high up there within the Fox clan, that's why it's possible for what she said to come true. And as slaves to this little missy, it's absolutely within reason they too would be executed by whatever hordes of demon that would come. Welcome the queen, one. Mother, first giving the fox a look, then back at Bai Yan. Can I rip this woman's mouth apart? She dares to threaten you and I don't like that. Leaning back against the chair again, Bai Yan crosses her leg lazily. If it makes you happy, sweetie. Blooming into a brilliant smile upon getting permission, Dragoni's eyes were innocent and lovely. However, to Humei, who's about to feel the full wrath of that might, it's akin to a true monster grinning at herself, ready to tear into her flesh and devour her soul. Boom. It's then without indication, the door to the tavern were blown apart and the resulting force nearly sent the fox lady flying forward. Fortunately her balance was good and she didn't completely hit the ground. Even so, the stinging pain on her back had caused her face to twist in frustration when turning around. Uncle Yu, you're here. This woman is going to kill me, you have to save me. Whatever negative feelings she had quickly changed to joy once she recognizes who had come. There's also another senior who came with you, Xiong, Eagle Chief, but since the lady was so focused on the Eagle Man, she didn't pay the other unfamiliar individual any heed. You are Hu Budwei's daughter, Humei? Oddly enough, the Eagle Chief didn't respond in the way that she expected and acted like they never met. What does Yu Xiong mean by that? It wasn't all that long ago when we last met, why doesn't he recognize me? Humei thought, a tinge of panic starting to fill those foxy eyes. Uncle Yu, I am Mayor, the fox lady forces a smile before coldly sweeping her gaze over to Bai Yan. Do you remember the jade pendant we talked about? This woman, this deceitful witch, somehow forged a copy of it and is now flaunting it around in the public. Jade pendant? The Eagle Chief makes inexplicable frown. Under normal circumstances, Humei would surely have caught onto the strange behavior from the other man, but since she's so overwhelmed with anger, any key details had become blind to her eyes. That's right. She found out about my encounter with the king and is trying to impersonate as His Majesty's benefactor. Now she's using that forgery to tell the world it's hers and wants to seduce our amazing and wonderful king. Uncle Yu, such a woman mustn't be allowed to live. Just the thought of the jade pendant being in Bai Yan's hand would drive this fox lady nuts, borderline insanity at this point. Nothing but a human woman, what right and qualification does she have to be the king's benefactor? I deserve it. It should be me. Yu Xiong's expression grew even more surprised now, like he's oblivious to what Humei's talking about. A humph, the random old man next to him makes a cough. Yu Xiong, when did your clan start to socialize with the Foxy family here? And what's the deal with the jade pendant and being the king's benefactor? What's this all about? The old senior's aggressive gaze then swept over to the fox lady, that face growing dark and threatening. This woman really has some gals to forge the queen's very own identification token. Does she take the world as fools and she's the only smart one? The Eagle Chief didn't want to continue with this conversation as well and barks out, Miss, I don't know what you're talking about, nor have I ever met you before. Welcome the queen, too. Quit joking around. Back then I only said those words to hustle some details out of her, as if I would be stupid enough to admit on the spot. If the king finds out, then my clan will be screwed. The eagle man bitches inside, dreading the slim chance the eagles would also be implicated due to this wench. Uncle you? Cracking in her heart, Humei forces a smile so she doesn't look so bad. Forgive my lack of understanding, you clearly that day. When have the eagles become associated with traitors? Please be more respectful, I have nothing to do with you or your family. Hands crossed behind his back, the eagle chief huffs a grunt and pulls the forged pendant out of Humei's hand using his power, causing it crumble into dust in the air. There's dismay in the fox lady's face now. She couldn't believe what she's seeing or what the eagle chief has done. Someone come, subdue this criminal. Xiang coldly orders. In an instant, several heavily armored men with eagle beaks had come swarming inside the tavern, their weapons firmly aimed at the fox while the unarmed rushed ahead to pin her to the ground. Uncle you, what are you doing? My father won't let you go if you touch me. Humei grits her teeth as she yells out with reddening eyes. This asshole is only picking on me because my branch of the Fox clan has been exiled, otherwise he would never try something like this. Ha! Your father can't even protect himself and you still have the nerve to threaten me? Xiang bursts out laughing, his voice mocking and sarcastic. Aren't you a bit too stupid in the head if you still can't figure out why? Humei's face went white. No longer struggling, she stares upward from the floor at the cold-faced middle-aged chief. You first tried to murder the queen, then impersonated her highness's identification token. Do you admit your crime? Boom! As if she's been struck by a lightning, Humei's brain instantly went blank on the spot, her eyes locking intently onto the eagle chief's. What did he say? The queen's identification token. No, it's not true. It must be a trick. He's tricking me. The lady almost couldn't breathe from the pain in her chest, and it's under this suffocating feeling that Xiang came before by Yan's presence to take kneel. My queen, it's your loyal subject here who has come late, causing your highness to suffer such grievances. Please forgive me. Pricking her brow up, Bai Yan stops her lazy act and got serious as well. Eagle Chief, how have you been lately? It's been a while since we last met at my coronation. Slightly startled at the quick recognition, Xiang felt elation and unease at the same time. Thanks to your highness's blessing, everything is well within my clan. In that case, I will give you a task. First, gather your tribesmen and go with Fei Yi of the Wing clan to gather the rest of the demons living in this region. Second, I want to search for a teenager by the name of Bai Xiao. I heard he was in this area not long ago. Yes, my queen. Getting up from the floorboard, Xiang respectfully complies. Uncle Yu, you're lying to me, muttering to herself in an incoherent manner. Humei's expression becomes hysterical. She is the queen? How can she be the queen? You are lying to me. Please tell me you are lying to me. I have never offended you in any way. Why are you doing this to me? When it came to the last bit of her sentence, there's a heart-wrenching tone like she's about to pass out. Welcome the queen, 3. I said it before that my mother's the queen. You didn't believe us and swept us away, humph. Then when my mother pulled her pendant to prove herself, you also claimed it was a fake and wanted to hit me as well. Even worse, you later attacked us with those people and drove us into the mountains. Thankfully the Wing clan's elder recognizes my mother, otherwise we would have been in danger. Fei Yi's expression grew a shade whiter at the implication of the Missy's word. Queen, please believe me. Even if I didn't recognize you, I would have identified you through the jade pendant. I would never be as stupid as that Hu Bud Wei. Despite the old senior's pointless worrying, Bai Yan never had any intent to blame him. It's just him overthinking it. After all, to be as dumb as Hu Bud Wei and his daughter, it would really take a miracle to find another pair in this backwater of a city. While Humei continues to splutter on the floor, Xiang on the other hand could only shake his head and sigh at this laudable outcome. Hu Bud Wei really is unfortunate. First it was his eldest daughter trying to drug the king so she can sneak into his bed, and now this younger one drives the queen away and threatened her life. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity is ruined by jealousy. What a fate he has. It's then while the Eagle Chief was lamenting the twist in one's misfortune, A swift wind suddenly blows over into the tavern and appears a man wearing a light blue robe. This newcomer was no other who Budway, who had rushed over after realizing his own folly. Normally Hu Mei would be delighted and overjoyed to find her own father coming to the rescue, but she knows better than anyone. If it was a choice between the family as a whole or a daughter, this man would without question pick the bigger body and abandon herself. Now instead of just fear and distraught on the face, the fox lady was despairing as well. Sure enough, Hu Budway's head was thinking exactly that after scanning the tavern. He could recognize the Wing clan and Eagle clan. So I'm too late in the end. Tightly clenching his fist, he slowly inches forward in a trembling manner. Then before anyone could understand what he's going to do, the old fox plops to the ground and gets into a prostrating position. Queen, I was blind and foolish in failing to recognize you. Please, out of consideration for my loyalty to the demon realm, please spare my fox clan. He cries out with sobbing tears and snot. Not minding this little play, Yu Xiang takes this opportunity to grow his own existence. Pushing a chair over in a flattering manner, Queen, please sit. Bai Yan didn't mind this and brushed her skirt into a better position before taking a seat. When you chased me before, you weren't acting like this, were you? Hu Budway went white at that little sly comment. First giving his own daughter an angry glare, he then reverted back to the crying man-child act. Queen, I was blinded by this stupid daughter of mine, that's why I didn't know you were the queen. If I had known, I would never have done what I did that day. That is to say, if I wasn't the queen then you would have killed me, is that it? Asked Bai Yan with a cold smirk. He was stumped for a response. It's exactly like she says. If Bai Yan wasn't the queen, this old fox would never feel he has done anything wrong. Welcome the queen, for man and beast have always been old enemies. What wrong have I done? Fei Yu Xiang, listen well. Bai Yan's expression grew hard and expressionless. Everyone in the demon realm is my subject. It's my duty to secure your safety. However, I will not permit mindless carnage or destruction either. If humans attack you first, then I will not care even if you retaliate with 100 times the force. In fact, I will also help you with the act. On the contrary, I will not permit any hostility towards humanity without provocation. Anyone who does so on their own will be expelled from the demon realm and never to return. She couldn't control demons from elsewhere in this world, but the ones under her watch must abide by her rules. In her past and present life, anyone who doesn't cross her won't be harmed, but if they do cross her then it's a retaliation of everything she's got, no exception. This was especially true in this day and age since the realms of human and demons have once again been reunited through the shattering of the Great Seal. Bai Yan's not going to let others murder the innocent and weak. Of course, this logic also applies to said demons. If humanity attacks her subjects, then she too would attack in full. Fei Yi and Yu Xiang inwardly trembled with shock over the promise. Hurrying to bow their heads, your subjects are here to abide by your highness's will. Good, send my orders out. Those who dare to go make trouble in the human realm will not be taken kindly. The lightest is banishment, the harshest death. That part done, Bai Yan now returns her attention to the train wreck that was the old fox. Now, let's go over the accounts with you. Under those overbearing and sharp eyes, Hu Budway could not even muster the courage to lift up his head. His soul's been lost. Queen, can you forgive us? We are willing to obey any wish your highness have of us in the future. That brought a wave of laughter into Bai Yan's face. The entire demon realm is at my beck and call, and the humans living here in this border city will also become mine very soon. Why should I keep you when I have so many more willing souls? The old fox shuddered, knowing full well his plea had no leg to stand on. Nevertheless, for the sake of his own family, his own branch of the Fox clan, he must persist. Queen, my branch of the Fox clan deserves at least something. We worked hard for the sake of the demon realm. Wiping away a drop of the tear from the corner of his eye, not to mention we didn't know about you before. A crime shouldn't be a crime if the party is unaware. Not a crime. Bai Yan was immensely irked by that ridiculous defense. Kicking the old fox in the chest to send him flying backwards, she grew hard and threatening. So if I was less incompetent that day and didn't escape, does mean I would have died by your hands for nothing? Are you going to tell Di Tsang that you didn't know so your crime doesn't count? Yes, you killed his wife so he must show forgiveness because you are unaware. He could feel his heart being punched by a heavy fist. Hurrying to crawl up from his position after being kicked, Hu Budwei starts begging again with increased fervor. He knows what he said there was simply idiotic and foolish. No one could beg for forgiveness from that man. The only thing that would do was to make the punishment even more cruel. Then, as if the blood in his veins were awakened, Hu Budwei suddenly casts a look over to his own daughter Hu Mei. Regardless of the resentment he held for this foolish girl, she's still his flesh and blood. The older one was already lost. Now this one's the only child he has left. Even if he won't live, he must at least let her survive this ordeal. Queen, all the fault lies with me. I implore you to let my youngest daughter live. She's ignorant and young. Even if she's denigrated to a slave is fine. My only hope is that you spare her out of consideration that she's also a fox. Di Tsang's arrival, Hu Mei's body became incredibly stiff, her throat choking as tears swelled out of those eyes. Perhaps, not even she could have thought her old man would protect her at such a time. It's no secret among the household that Hu Budwei could be very cold and harsh to those who fail him. For example, the older sister was of one when she got caught in trying to drug the king. The old fox didn't hesitate and easily abandoned the girl to her own demise. Queen, please, we really didn't know you are you before. Out of consideration that we are of the same family, have mercy. Crawling up to Bai Yan's leg, Hu Mei pleads and begs by banging her head, the regret showing all over that face and devouring her existence. Unfortunately, that futile effort soon turned to suicidal thoughts when the ground began to shake. Swinging around, her pupils promptly dilutes inwardly as she saw the most unforgettable scene ever in her life. Outside the tavern, there's thousands of demonic beasts galloping over from the distance and kicking up a storm of dust. This stampede was led by a flying dragon of gold, but it's the male and female standing at the lizard's head that snatched her soul away. Sister-in-law, I miss you so much. You don't know, but my brother's been bullying me so much while you weren't home. Then before the girl in yellow could detail a certain individual's poor behavior to the one in charge, a gloomy and threatening aura from behind had cut her off. How come you are here? Bai Yan asks the handsome man in front of her eyes, those lips quirking into a smile. Not answering, Di Tsang's first act was to pull his wife into a tight embrace before speaking. He's far too possessive and won't have it any other way. Why didn't you send someone to inform me about others trying to harm you? Breaking out into a chuckle, it's nothing big, why are you so worried for? You think I can't solve it by myself? Bai Yan has no intention of being a woman that could only hide behind their husband like a weak damsel in distress. If she's going to do something, it's going to be through her own efforts and struggle. Ignoring the displeasure from his wife and the focused attention from everyone nearby, Di Tsang went ahead to give her a deep French kiss between the lips to show his feelings. To this great demon lord, it's not a matter of trust or not, it's a matter of him being able to show off his manly ability as the husband. Towards the intimate picture of the pair, Hu Mei tried hard to hide her discontent by lowering that face from prying eyes. However, the clenching fists to the sides had given her away to the inspective person. It's not like this fox lady couldn't tolerate the king having multiple women in the harem, that's a given for any ruler, but to see the cold hard image she's had of Di Tsang for all these years be shattered for the sake of a single human female was excruciating and crushing. Your Majesty! The members of the Eagle clan and Wing clan respectively kneeled. Compared with the shock of others, Di Xiaowan, Demon Princess, had become immune to the pair of lovebirds' behaviors. She's calm and relished in the mood right now. Di Tsang's arrival, too. Half a ring later, Di Tsang finally loosens his grasp and began caressing that silky black hair. These people, let me deal with them. Donning a brilliant smile, Bai Yan's beauty seems to overshadow even the world itself after being nourished. Letting go of his wife, the old fox now has the full attention of the great demon lord. Hu Budwei, is this how you assist my wife when I asked you to assist her? That voice was overbearing and oppressive, causing others to squirm in discomfort by merely being in his presence. Sire, I know my crime. You think a simple apology is going to make up for your crime? Expressionless on the face, even if I killed your entire clan here, it will still not make it for that mistake. Hu Budwei has fallen into despair. He knows it's over. This dreadful and unmatchable king wasn't going to let his family go no matter what after that statement. Yu Xiang, go pass my order. From this point forward, the Fox clan here in this border city are no longer my subjects, nor are they permitted to take a single step into the demon realm. Yes, sire, the Eagle Chief respectfully cups his hand in compliance. What about this traitor and his daughter? Di Tsong's lip promptly curves into a sardonic smirk. Them? Throw the two into the Dark Dragon Lair. They will at least be good enough as food. Dark Dragon Lair? The old fox shuddered at the idea and his pupils expanded in horrific fright. He's going to be this ruthless? He must wipe out my family that completely? No, I don't want to go to the Dark Dragon Lair. In her panic, Hu Mei crawls up to Di Tsong's leg and banged her head with incredible force, causing the blood to stain the ground in the process. Sire, please spare me, I know my wrong. From now on I won't dare anymore. Please, I beg of you, please don't send me there. Those sick perverted dragons will kill me in how they toy with their captives. Get lost. Disgusted by the sight, the Demon King snaps and bombards the lady with his overwhelming aura, causing no less than a dozen bruises to that dainty skin from the blow. This is the price for harming my wife. His words are a knife, piercing into Hu Mei's heart until it's full of holes. Done with that, Di Tsong reverts his gaze back to his wife, those eyes blooming with warmth and smile. Yen Yen, do you miss me? Instead of replying, the woman herself only showed interest in what's behind her own husband. Sadly, when she noticed there's the lacking figure of a little steam bun, the energy to talk was swept out of her. Xiachen didn't come with you? Going black in the face. You only think of that boy, don't you miss me at all? That kid will have his own wife one day. It's me who will spend the rest of my life with you. Just the thought of his own brat taking up more room in his wife's heart would bring sourness to this man's mood. That's right, Di Tsong's jealous of Bai Xiachen, his own flesh and blood. Now here comes the silly part. Due to this reasoning, the man was even more determined to make Bai Yan give him another daughter. Only by doing so would the boy stop pestering his own mother. Quit fussing, where's Xiachen? Bai Yan asks with raised brows. Di Tsong's arrival 3. In the end, Di Tsong couldn't bear to watch her nervous expression and spilled the truth. He is still inside that secret domain. Not out yet, her brow tightens further. Is he in danger? I keep getting this uneasy feeling. Don't worry, Yen Yen, that kid is my son, so he's not going to be in any danger, nor will I allow him to be in danger. Perhaps it's the confidence in his words, but Bai Yan's expression definitely eased up a bit until she could muster a smile. Since he is fine, then I'm relieved, but I can't go back with you yet. I have something to deal with here first. No problem, I'll accompany you. No problem, I accompany you. Hu Mei was stung in the heart again for the second time. She's bleeding, both inwardly and outwardly through her mouth and heart from those words. Of course, this venomous image didn't slide away from the Eagle Chief's sharp eye. Who's the closest? Are you going to remove yourself on your own, or do you need me to drag you away? The king and queen is having a personal moment. They don't need traitors like you watching them. Closing her eyes in frustration yet accepting, Hu Mei eventually opens her eyes and left of her own accord. She's at least have that much sanity to know when to retreat, and just like his own daughter, Hu Budwei also scurried away when the Eagle Chief shot him a death glare. Border City. In between the time frame of a single day, the entire settlement has become occupied by demonic beasts from all direction. Naturally, some wanted to resist, but before they could gather and muster the necessary forces to fight, they had already been roped up over to Wu Xiong's estate. Yen Yen, the fruit of this city isn't very good, so please bear with them for now. Once the fruits from the demon realm ripens during this season, I will have someone bring a bunch over so you can enjoy them. However, this peach here is barely edible. Here, let me feed you. Di Xiaowan couldn't resist a twitch in her lip over this. Sure, this demon princess had long been used to their love-dovey exchanges, but this was too much. She's feeling a little embarrassed just standing there. How can someone like this be the demon realm's king? Is he not afraid of sister-in-law beating him? Likely aching to watch her own brother suffer at the hands of his wife, the princess heaves a long sigh and focused in on the pair. Unfortunately, the expected kicking or scolding never came. Instead it was Bai Yan's lazy inaction as she swallowed the outstretched hand carrying the slice of peach with an enjoying smile. With gawking eyes, what's going on? Why is sister-in-law not getting mad at him? It's always been like that, what's changed? What did brother do to change her mind? In this instant, many thoughts and ideas spun within the sweet Dumbaklut's brain, mostly wild images of her brother's shoe licking and pleading to get on Bai Yan's good side. However, one scary picture did jolt the girl back to attention. It was about herself. An image of Bai Yan and Di Song teaming up to bully her poor self in the future. No, I can't let this happen. Making up her mind then, Di Xiaowan was absolute in her resolution to not let Di Song tame his wife. Otherwise, a miserable future was all that awaits herself. Di Song's arrival for sister-in-law. The princess hurries to interject herself between the two bodies. You must be tired, so let me handle these people. There's no need for you to shoulder all this burden. While Bai Yan herself found this rather amusing and arched an eyebrow over the suggestion, the girl has already turned to those kneeling humans with a narrowed glare. So it's you despicable bunch here who joined forces with Hu Budwei in order to harm my sister-in-law? Wu Xiong could do nothing but shiver intensely. He didn't know what else to say in his own defense. Like seriously, who would have imagined some random lady on the middle street to be the queen of the demon realm? Talk about poking the hornet's nest. I didn't know who she was. Shut up. Di Xiaowan stabs her arms against the waist. I don't care whether or not you did it intentionally or unintentionally, you are dead regardless. Besides, how can my sister-in-law be wrong? It's you despicable bunch who tried to harm her. The more she spoke, the angrier she became and eventually stomped down at Wu Xiong's back like she's trampling a cockroach. If you dare to resist, then I'll have someone drag you away for disposal this instant. This sentence was frightening for the once arrogant big guy. Despite his squirming unwillingness, he kept his body still like a turtle and allowed that dainty leg to keep coming down. If only this guy was into certain fetishes, then he would be relishing in the pain alone. But he's not. This was a humiliation, a blunt and direct humiliation. I'm going to beat you to death, you bastard. Stomping and kicking, Di Xiaowan kept going off like a seductress despite not knowing it herself. She's just too beautiful, even in her rage, and it didn't help either when her efforts were no different from tiny pinches to these humans. In the end, it was the demon princess who's sweating and panting and giving off a sweet aroma by her bodily scent. The other humans here all feared for their own fate at this moment. They knew Wu Xiong wasn't suffering much, but they dreaded what would become of them if this was the sort of treatment awaiting them in the future. Di Song, did Xiaowan suffer some kind of shock lately? Why is she acting like that? Bai Yan asks with a lazy voice. I don't know, Di Song shakes his head, presumably because of state teacher's disappearance. What? State teacher and first elder still hasn't come back yet? There's astonishment in her voice. If she is this shook from his disappearance, why don't we pair them together once he's back? It'd be a shame if they never got together. Smiling at the suggestion, Di Song agrees with that opinion. That's exactly what I was thinking. Still oblivious to how she's already wed away, Di Xiaowan, who's been overly excited from the clobbering, suddenly felt a chill run down her spine. Making an odd squeal, she looks left and right for the strange sensation. If only this sweet Dumbaklutz didn't try to suck up to Bai Yan on this occasion, but because of her own judgment, she's been mistaken for having love sickness. Now it's pretty much a given she's going to be state teacher's wife, just that no one could have guessed the sort of BDSM fetish running through this princess's blood. When the rest of the world discovered the truth, it would be years later and her husband has already submitted in heart and soul to this seductress. A while later, Di Xiaowan finally found her endurance at the limit. Dragging Wu Xiong like a dead dog and not knowing he's acting, she grins with a broad smile at her own failed achievement. Sister-in-law, look. I've taught this asshole a lesson, now it's brother's turn to work. Here, take this first. Taking out a handkerchief, Bai Yen readily hands the item over. Don't let his filth dirty your hands, he's not worth it. City Subjugation 1. How are you liking this? Bai Yen asks, fully aware of the minimal damage felt by the big guy before turning over to the rest of the humans. I called you all here today to give everyone a chance to live. Losing all of the playful air, she becomes sharp and dominating with the aura of a ruler and leader. What does she mean? How is she going to let us live? Their hearts trembled, showing surprise and fear in the faces. Still smiling but more difficult to read now, I presume you all know what has happened today at the tavern. If you want to live, then be contracted by my daughter. If you don't, then become food for her belly. To live, there's only one path laid before them, and that's to become slaves. A cold shudder overtakes the humans here. They all turn to stare at the innocent-looking lass that's carelessly eating the fruits in hand, and they gulped. I. One of the captives wanted to speak up, but before he could, another voice interjects from the rear. Lady, some of us never took part in Wu Xiong's mess that day. It shouldn't involve us, so why did you summon us here? Narrowing her eyes, Bai Yan's sight quickly fell upon the owner of that voice. It's an old senior by the name of He Ling, one of the rare high-level saint ranks in this border city. Originally, this He Ling was in the middle of cuddling with his little concubine in bed when he got dragged out of his home. That's why he's so disgruntled at the rudeness. Furthermore, there's no lie in his defense. He never took part in Wu Xiong's shenanigans, so why should he stay? How can there be nothing if I called you here? Bai Yen then leans against her own husband's chest, that face lazy and content. This border city is the closest settlement between the demon realm and celestial realm. As it so happens, I'm growing an interest on this place, so it's only normal I meet the leaders. He Ling's heart dropped, growing an increasingly sense of wariness. What do you mean by that? Isn't it obvious already? You and the rest of you old bones are to contract with my daughter. This border city will be mine. This woman, does she know what she's saying? This border city can't compare with the main forces of the two realms. That's true, but it's nothing to be scoffed at either. Based on what can she make such a demand? Without these demons by her side, she's nothing. He Ling thought, not fully willing to listen. Lady, you must be kidding, right? Slightly quivering due to the immense aura coming out of Deetsong's body, the old fella didn't want to sound offending. Our border city belongs to the celestial realm. You are from the demon realm. Why should we accept your rule? Beasts, whether of demon origin or celestial origin, has always been servile to humanity since ancient times. It was only after the establishment of the demon realm that those animals grew some backbone and began resisting the deities, hence the degrading opinion running through these humans. City Subjugation 2. Staring down coolly at the man below herself, Bai Yen slowly rose from the chair, arms stretching out as she summoned up a frosty blade made of ice-cold bone. Then I'll show you now if I'm qualified to take over this city or not. In that split second as words came forth, that womanly figure also disappeared from view. He Ling didn't know where she went, but the instinct built through years of combat and experience told him he needed to turn around and deflect. And sure enough, he did by throwing out a palm strike of his own. Unfortunately for this once prominent leader of this city though, his efforts were futile. Squirts of spraying blood came squirting out of his hand when the blade pierced into his flesh and bone, causing the crimson-red liquid to splatter all over his own clothes. It's clear who's the victor here today. If He Ling didn't try to block there at the last moment, the bone blade would have been in his chest and not just in his hand. Understanding this possible consequence, an unnerved chill ran through the man's skin, turning his eyes vigilant and alarmed. Do you understand your own status now? Forming a smirk on her face, she scans the crowd to make sure they understood the meaning of her threat. Or you can all come at me together at once, I don't mind either. Since these people had the intent to begin with, that suggestion instantly roused a stir among the unwilling group. There's a smudge of determination returning to their faces after losing some of their light. Lady He Ling isn't wrong in what he said. We are denizens of the celestial realm. It's natural that we would be against the demon realm. These people were stupid enough to make a move against you, so we didn't intervene, but if you want to conquer the entire border city, then we will never agree. That's right. If you want us to be slaves to demons, then we will never agree. Poof! Without any warning, a blast of searing heat fires over at the last person who spoke up, engulfing and incinerating his body until even his soul was destroyed by the flame. Eerily enough, the process had happened so quickly that no screams ever came from the individual, sending many into a frantic unease of fear and horror. That's right, the flame burned right down to the soul. If it was simple death, then they could still have a chance at being reborn through the cycle of life, but what awaits them was clearly eternal damnation. Devil! This man is more evil than the darkest creature in existence. At least such things only torture or devour one's soul, not destroy it outright. They all gulped and stared at the silver-haired man sitting on the throne chair, their eyes haunted now. This included He Ling and the other high-level saint ranks present. Is there any more objections to my wife's decision? Lazy and bland in his interest, Di Song asks with an air of melancholy. They had long heard of how cruel and ruthless this demon king was, but it's far beyond their imagination. Yet they seem to have forgotten how cruel humanity too have been towards the various creatures of this world. Hunted for their fur, for their flesh, for their cores, anything of value would be sought after by humanity regardless of their origin or background. City Subjugation 3. Staring down coolly at the man below herself, Bai Yen slowly rose from the chair, arms stretching out as she summoned up a frosty blade made of ice-cold bone. Then I'll show you now if I'm qualified to take over this city or not. In that split second as words came forth, that womanly figure also disappeared from view. He Ling didn't know where she went, but the instinct built through years of combat and experience told him he needed to turn around and deflect. And sure enough, he did by throwing out a palm strike of his own. Unfortunately for this once prominent leader of this city though, his efforts were futile. Squirts of spraying blood came squirting out of his hand when the blade pierced into his flesh and bone, causing the crimson-red liquid to splatter all over his own clothes. It's clear who's the victor here today. If He Ling didn't try to block there at the last moment, the bone blade would have been in his chest and not just in his hand. Understanding this possible consequence, an unnerved chill ran through the man's skin, turning his eyes vigilant and alarmed. Do you understand your own status now? Forming a smirk on her face, she scans the crowd to make sure they understood the meaning of her threat. Or you can all come at me together at once, I don't mind either. Since these people had the intent to begin with, that suggestion instantly roused a stir among the unwilling group. There's a smudge of determination returning to their faces after losing some of their light. Lady He Ling isn't wrong in what he said. We are denizens of the celestial realm. It's natural that we would be against the demon realm. These people were stupid enough to make a move against you, so we didn't intervene, but if you want to conquer the entire border city, then we will never agree. That's right. If you want us to be slaves to demons, then we will never agree. Poof! Without any warning, a blast of searing heat fires over at the last person who spoke up, engulfing and incinerating his body until even his soul was destroyed by the flame. Eerily enough, the process had happened so quickly that no screams ever came from the individual, sending many into a frantic unease of fear and horror. That's right, the flame burned right down to the soul. If it was simple death, then they could still have a chance at being reborn through the cycle of life, but what awaits them was clearly eternal damnation. Devil! This man is more evil than the darkest creature in existence. At least such things only torture or devour one's soul, not destroy it outright. They all gulped and stared at the silver-haired man sitting on the throne chair, their eyes haunted now. This included He Ling and the other high-level saint ranks present. Is there any more objections to my wife's decision? Lazy and bland in his interest, Di Song asks with an air of melancholy. They had long heard of how cruel and ruthless this demon king was, but it's far beyond their imagination. Yet they seem to have forgotten how cruel humanity too have been towards the various creatures of this world. Hunted for their fur, for their flesh, for their cores, anything of value would be sought after by humanity regardless of their origin or background. City Subjugation 4. Unfortunately, because there's a certain demon king around, these people didn't even get the chance to repel the power before Di Song pressed down with his own. In that moment, all resistance was for naught and gave Dragoni the opportunity to easily go into their soul to form the ritual. Half a ring later and with a gleeful smile, the little missy was done. "Mother, I've done what you asked me to do." "Very good, sweetie, I'll get a reward for you later." Bai Yan returns a smile of her, those eyes doting and loving. This experience immediately made the little missy blush. Without another word, she throws her head into the woman's stomach and spoke with a content voice. "I don't need any reward. Having mother is already the best reward I can ever get." In the past she never got the doting care of a father, nor did she get the love from her own mother. Thankfully fate hasn't been all cruel and tossed Bai Yan into her life. Now she's finally got the chance to enjoy the affection of maternal love for once. For that, Dragoni couldn't ask for more and would allow absolutely nothing to get in the way of this bond. It's then Dragoni's big beautiful eyes flickered with a firm light and her hands grew tighter, knowing fully how far she has come. Unbeknownst to this little missy though, one day in the future she would be forced to leave Bai Yan's side. In her rage and sadness, the world itself would be plunged into the depths of hell itself thanks to her following action. Even so, she continued to persist and nearly became the incarnate of evil itself. That's Dragoni's future. Yen. Deetsong first casts a look at the missy nestling in his wife's arm, then at the girl herself before curving into a shallow smirk. "Come." Though a bit perplexed by why he's calling her over, Bai Yan nevertheless did as requested and let her goddaughter go before strolling over. Without surprise, the man did his usual selfish thing and swiftly pulled her into an enticing embrace. "The leader of the group who hurt you, how do you want to deal with him?" Wuxiang, who's been acting dead until now, nearly jerked right up from the ground after being mentioned. He actually thought they forgot about his crimes, so he's been keeping mute. Caressing her chin at the question, "I feel like being a slave is too cheap of a punishment for him." Deetsong pricks his brow up at the response. "Then what do you wish to do with him?" "We can do anything you want. Just now Xiao Wan already beat him a bunch. Why don't we gift him to those demons who have a special taste in their sexual orientation instead? How about that?" This time the big guy could no longer stay still anymore. Quickly getting up, he kneels right in front of the pair and cries his eyes out. "Lady, I have already been contracted by the little lady and haven't resisted. Please don't do this to me. I don't want to become those perverted monsters' playmate like Humei and her father." Saying it nicely was a playmate, saying it bluntly would be a sexual slave for those of the same sex. Imagine a saint rank master being degraded to be a sex toy. There's no way he could endure. Narrowing in her eyes, Bai Yan clearly had differing opinions. "Do you expect to forget? The one who started this battle is you. Whether it be the Fox family here in this border city, or the others that got involved, they're all being punished. As the main culprit, you think you can get off scot-free?" City Subjugation 5. Wu Xiong looked extremely miserable with his distraught face. If one didn't know better, they would assume his wife and daughters keep snatched away by a thief. "Lady, I am very useful, really useful compared to that Hu Budwei. Don't you want to attack the celestial realm? I can help guide you there. In order to get there in one piece, you must pass through the sky forest. I know how to pass through it with ease, it's very familiar to me. I can help reduce the amount of detour you must take." It's then Deetsong whispers something into his wife's ear. First elder and state teacher both went to the celestial realm before. In other words, they are already familiar with the mentioned sky forest, so there's no need for a guide. Wu Xiong didn't miss that and grew paler than a ghost. He started to tremble without intent due to the immense fear he felt at having his offer shot down. I have other uses. I know a lot of people in the celestial realm. Information are always useful during times of war, so you can use a spy, right? Yes, I can be your spy and work from within. Now that was hilarious in Bai Yan's eye. If that's the case, why did you get thrown out to this border city then? As unwilling as the big guy was in telling his own story, he nevertheless relented after getting to grip with the situation. It's better than being called a liar and to protect his own chastity from those sick dragons. I hooked up with a young miss of a large family clan back then, that's why I got sent here to this outskirt of a city. But I have a cousin, he works at that big household. He promised to get me back once he finds a way. Rolling her eyes, "And what does that do to help us? That background of yours doesn't seem very useful at all." No, 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 that household my cousin is in is a big one, so I will be able to gather any information you would like, and that miss is also deeply in love with me. She must still be waiting for me to go back. Though skeptical, Bai Yan eventually decides to take a chance given the opportunity. I'll give you a chance. If you can complete the mission I have, then you can be a slave. What mission? Said Wu Xiong, his eyes bright. Help me look for information on a person. Who? Bai Ning. She needs to know whether or not this Bai Ning was her mother or not, and where she was in the celestial realm. Relieved by the path laid before him, Wu Xiong inhales deeply. It's just asking about a person. How hard can this mission be? Don't worry, lady, I will definitely get news on this Bai Ning that you've requested. Just wait for my good news. Revealing a charming smile, Wu Xiong never felt so happy about protecting his own ass from others. Sweeping her sight on the rest after that, Bai Yan gives her next order. You can all return to your homes in a bit. In addition, the fact about your submissions to demons must be kept a secret from those familiar to you in the celestial realm, especially the close acquaintances in your life. Be warned. If I find out whoever leaks this news, it won't just be the destruction of your soul. Bai Yan's words sounded bullying now after emphasizing her ability to crush them so many times. Another thing, making a thoughtful look. If there's any demonic beasts still locked up in your homes, release them immediately. I won't interfere if they're willing to follow you of their own accord. However, I will not permit this custom to continue. If a demonic beast voluntarily takes a human as their master, then she has nothing to say or to do, but if forced, then as their queen, Bai Yan has a duty to intervene. Do you all understand? Bai Yan asks the silent group, hammering her point through by forcing a response. City subjugation 6. We will comply. The crowd of voices echoed in unison, spreading across this hall as one big mass. Without another word, Bai Yan flicks her hand open and summons up a portrait before handing it over to the demon princess. Xiaowan, pass this over to them. They can memorize the picture on their own. Okay, sister-in-law. Taking the item like a good helper, Di Xiaowan happily hands the portrait to the nearest human slave she found. One by one, each individual memorized the picture until it reached the last in the rear. Of course, the faces they made were not missed by Bai Yan's sharp attention gaze. She wanted to test them for signs of recognition, and sure enough, there's a single individual who made a surprised face when handed the item. Immediately, her face sank a little. Aside from the yellow-robed young man, everyone can leave. They may be surprised and unsure why, but these humans weren't going to protest. Cupping their fist, the crowd quickly dispersed and left the poor young lad sweating from the fear of being singled out. Queen, is there something you need of me by asking me to stay? The nervous lad croaks this out. Have you seen this man in the portrait? She narrows in her eyes, causing a new layer of white surface on the lad's face. Blowing up with dangerous light now. Speak. Where is he? If you dare lie, then that person's fate will be yours next. After much choking and struggling of the tongue, a clear answer eventually came forth. A while back I saw him battling with someone else in the forest. He got injured and escaped. Afterwards, I don't know what happened to him. Having said that, he immediately got to his knees in a kowtowing stance. Queen, it wasn't deliberate. I didn't intend to watch him get hurt. If I had known he was your brother, I would have done everything I can to save him. Immensely cold and dangerous in her aura, Bai Yan's fists clenched harder and harder until the very bones in there started to crackle. She couldn't help it. When this bastard mentioned Bai Xiao being injured and had to flee, her heart twisted in pain like someone just ripped it out and wring it dry. That lovable brother. That sensible kid who would use his own body to take the beatings in her place. Everything from the past came swelling back in her memories and suffocated her breathing. Do you know where he went? Shaking his head with distinct fear in those eyes. I don't know, but I know it's people from the celestial realm who hurt him. Celestial realm. Gnashing her teeth, an unbridled fury roars out of Bai Yan's throat, wanting to engulf that very name in flames. If those people dare to hurt my brother, then I will subvert the entire world if I must to exact revenge. Now the debt between her and the celestial realm just went up by another card. Sure, She's still hundreds, if not thousands of miles away from reaching the goal of payback, but the determination was there and won't be removed under any circumstances. Yen. Coming over to give her a hug from behind, Di-Tsong's voice grew tender and warm, like he's going to change whatever ill fate that might befall his brother-in-law. Don't worry, I will help you find that boy. He will be all right. Di-Tsong, do you know? Although I am not the original Bai Yen, but the memories of the past remained with me like a vivid picture, deeply imprinted into my mind. I still remember. When I was being bullied and hurt with no one to turn to, it was he who used his thin, frail body to protect me. His worry, he was clearly the one who needed protection back then, but each and every time it was he who shielded me. And then I didn't even say goodbye that year when I fled. I caused him so much pain, yet he never blamed me for any of it. Di-Tsong, I can clearly give him the protection that we lacked back then with my current influence and power, but you know, he would rather gain his own so that he can make a peaceful place for me. That's what he said. Pausing with choking grief, Bai Xiao is my brother, my one and only brother. He's injured while away from home, how can my heart not ache and worry for him? Aching at his wife's distress, Di-Tsong hurries to give that trembling body a hug. Yen, believe in me, I will see to it he returns to us safely. After a long while of this sobbing picture, Bai Yen finally regains her composure with eyes of steel plastered across that face. Di-Tsong, I'm going to the celestial realm. Making a frown, now. Yes, I'm going now. My mother and brother might be there right this instant. They are both my family, so I'm going to bring them back home. Looking at the woman's resolute face, Di-Tsong didn't object to the idea. Just that. Can you give me a bit of time first? Di-Tsong. Bai Yen makes a surprised look at her own husband. Give me a little more time. Although I can't conquer the entire celestial realm for you, but the time will give me room to create a safe haven over on that side for you. With deep feelings and tenderness in those eyes, he kissed her on the forehead. Promise me this. Give me a little more time and I will accompany you to find my mother-in-law and brother-in-law. Okay. Bai Yen knew her insistence on the matter would only worry this man, therefore she didn't resist. I'll wait for a while longer and use this period to improve my strength. When I break into the celestial rank, he won't need to worry so much anymore. At least enough to protect those close to me, that should be enough, right? Despite the reassuring smile coming off of Di-Tsong's face, underneath it all were not the thoughts and feelings of someone with confidence. It looks like the plan must be advanced ahead of time. If Shower is being attacked, then they might be doing it because of me and Yen. Watching all of this from the sideline, Di Xiaowan was extremely envious of the teen mentioned in their conversation. So this is the bond of having a sister, it's so good. Why can't I have an older sister like Bai Yen and not this mean old grumpy brother of mine? Yen, are you tired? Your complexion isn't looking so great. Asked the man who's oblivious to his own sister's bemoaning. Nodding. I'm not sure either, but my body's been feeling sleepy and tired all the time recently. Bring me inside, Di-Tsong, I want to rest. This explanation relieved the Demon King, who's already got a lot on his plate. It's good that it's nothing. Although the bed here can't be compared to the palace's, you should still rest on it a little. After saying that, Di-Tsong carefully supported the woman out of the hall like she's some sort of frail item that would shatter at the slightest bump. His worry, too. What are you still doing here? Said the demon princess towards the dumb-looking young man who had been stayed by Yen earlier. Are you going to scram, or do I have to kick you out? Shuddering, the individual didn't need no urging to throw himself out the door. He's afraid this girl would take his life for being even a second too later. Princess, Dragoni then comes over and gives the girl a slight tug of the sleeve. When will brother come out? Cheering up in her mood at the sight of this cute missy, Di Xiaowan unconsciously reached down to pinch the pink little cheek. Smiling, you've already taken my sister-in-law as your godmother, why are you still calling me princess? Raising a super sweet smile, Auntie. That's good, said the princess with a stupid grin. Thankfully I have you to stick around with me. Those heartless pair always leave me behind. Come, your auntie here will take you out to eat delicious things. At this moment the sweet Dumbaklutz has discovered the benefits of having a niece because she won't be so bored with this extra companion. Oh, I can't wait for sister-in-law to get another baby. A girl would be the best. Auntie, are you state teacher's wife? Staring curiously, the little dragoness suddenly looks up to ask using that childish voice. Stiff in the face and lips twitching, Di Xiaowan had to take a good moment to calm her fluttering heart. Who told you that? Listening to rumors is no good, Dragoni. I am still an unwed maiden. But that's what everyone in the demon realm says. Twinkling like the starry stars in the night sky, Dragoni didn't carry any room for doubt. Going white again, Di Xiaowan bites her lip like a rattled fox. Dragoni, you mustn't let those people fool you. Your auntie and state teacher. We aren't in any kind of relationship. Growling, don't let me find out who is spreading all these rumors, I'll show them. Shame for her though. The main reason there's such rumors floating about in the demon realm was all thanks to Deetsong. Even if she does figure out the source, it's not like this scaredy fox would go do anything. Back over in the main bedroom, Deetsong and Bai Yen had just gotten into a comfortable position on the bed. Yen, don't worry, I won't let anyone hurt you no matter the cost. Holding her head against his chest, his arms seemingly wants to melt their body together by this gesture. Slightly startled by his words, Bai Yan's forehead tightened in discomfort. What's going on? It's nothing, said the man, kissing her forehead in an attempt to stop her worrying. I only don't want to lose you, that's all. After saying this, Deetsong leans over and kissed her on the lip, letting his emotion flow into her by mingling their tongues together. He wanted her, and she wanted him. There's no denying it as their panting breath huffed and groaned from the desire erupting from within. Eventually the man's hand tears away the last layer of fabric shielding his prize, and that's all he needed to see. Nothing was going to stop him now. Erecting his weapon of choice, he reaches down, prying her legs apart and aimed for the wet sanctuary of all men between her thighs. Yen, I love you. He purrs beside her ear, getting a silent nod from the flushed woman beneath himself, indicating she's ready. He thrusts it in the next, powerful and deep in his ramming, getting a cry of pain and ecstasy from her mouth as that back arched upward to form to the shape of his rod. Each, Bai Yen moaned as the man dug deeper and deeper into her with every thrust, curling those toes after coming close to the first orgasm. Truthfully, she almost wanted to push him away initially from the lack of foreplay as a form of punishment, but it was too late. The reflexive clench from her abdomen had hooked his manhood due to all that throbbing in the final push. Then again, this devilish of a man wasn't going to let her go anyways at this point, and they were just beginning for the night. A good sleep later with much sex in between. Bai Yen was feeling rather drowsy on this morning as the faint light shot through the window screen to land on her closed eyes. Gradually opening them, the view was groggy at first until it eventually orientated to that striking and familiar face she spent all night connecting with. It's a happy one, but also a yearning one for more. His worry. 3. Yen, why don't you go back to the mainland during this period? Since your strength is now higher, you should be able to enter the 3 miracle hidden underneath the 3 powers there. It must be something incredibly useful if the people from the spirit realm wanted it so much. Musing over the suggestion, Bai Yen eventually nods in agreement. Okay. That's great. I have other things to do for now, so I won't go back with you, but I'll come later. His voice low and hoarse, almost tickling against the woman's ear when he whispered the intent over. You're not done yet? She was slightly taken aback by the fact, looking up and staring into his eyes for confirmation. Understanding why, Deetsong reaches over to give her a hug of reassurance. It will be fast, I will come back to you very soon. Then this time, something choked in her throat then. Bai Yen wanted more information, but failed to ask in the end, fearing what she didn't want to hear. I originally came because I heard there were people trying to harm you, but now that you're safe, it's time I went back. Working towards our future is something a man should do, don't you agree, my love? Her heart shook at that proclamation. If those are sweet words of trying to score points with Bai Yen, then it's definitely working. She's feeling warm inside and would gladly take another round with this devilish bastard who wrecked her insides last night. Yen, I will not let you live in danger with our son and unborn daughter. As your husband and their father, I will do everything to remove any obstacle in the way. Giggling at the shamelessness of that last bit. And how do you know I'm going to have a daughter? Because, the man's fingers slowly slides down to her belly, we already have one trying to compete with me for your attention. I now need a girl to divert his focus lest he comes clinging to you every day. Slightly twitching in the corner of her lip, Bai Yen has had to hand it to this man. How much does he frown upon his own son? Once we have a daughter, we can then throw her to Xiachen, leaving only the two of us to roam the world in peace and joy. Upon fantasizing the beautiful future, Di Tsong's face evokes a dashing grin that could amaze the world if frozen in time. We're not taking our daughter? She asks with a frown. It's enough to have Xiachen by her side. Besides, only you are allowed to get close to me, no one else is allowed. That includes his own daughter, no exception. And I don't need to worry with that boy in charge. If any brat dares to get close to my daughter, he will clobber them in my stead. A flash of hard sternness flickers across Di Tsong's eyes. Just because he doesn't want to take his daughter along on their merry trip doesn't mean he doesn't like her. In fact, he's going to be more protective of his daughter than the mother here in question. Bai Yen literally went black from the bleak future awaiting her own daughter. She could already imagine the sort of picture where the girl gets overly protected by her boy and husband like two guardian gods that would repel any pompous lad who dares to draw too close. It's getting late now. I need to go back. Showing a smile, she hooks those arms around the man's neck and imprints her own version of a French kiss onto those lips. I'm going to get much stronger, just you wait, Di Tsong. You won't be the only one conquering those from the celestial realm. I too will make them pay the price with their own blood. That remark was damning for Di Tsong. He knew this wife of his has always been the strong-headed type, but her will was simply too perfect for his own. Unable to resist the urge, he throws himself at her and raises another storm on the bed this morning. Oh Yen Yen, I can't get enough of you at all. He reaches down and presses in, forcing his way in just like last night. His worry, It wasn't until near noon before the man stopped his rabid act of procreation that Bai Yen could finally get herself dressed for the day's work. Nevertheless, she gave him one final kiss before striding out for the door. Di Tsong, I'm going to leave with Emo Li Shang and Dragoni in bit. She swings her head with her back still turned at the doorframe, but I expect you to have someone inform me if you find any clue regarding my brother's whereabout. For this man though, his focus didn't lie with that brother-in-law though. Nay, he's more focused on the strange young man who's been tailing his wife lately. You and that Emo Li Shang, what sort of relationship do you have with him exactly? I know he's not related to you, that much I'm certain. Standing there with his body still naked and hefty arsenal dangling between his crotch, he stares at her with curiosity and worry. He lost his memory when I picked him up from the road. As it so happens, I ended up bumping into him again at this border town. That's why I kept him around. But why do I keep getting the sensation that he's looking at you wrong? Making a grumbling sound, he starts getting all sour in his voice. That's the same look a man gives to their favorite woman. I don't like it. Amused by this, Bai Yen couldn't take it anymore and turned completely to meet his gaze. You know, you are such a petty fox. He's no more than a child to me, not to mention he's lost his memories. At most he's only a brother to me. Flash stepping over to the doorway to embrace his wife's waist, Di Tsong uses his other hand to pinch up at her cheek. I don't care. If he has any unfavorable motive about you, then I'll turn him to ash for having thoughts about my woman. She can only be my wife, no one else can touch. That includes ogling her or having bad thoughts. That's so. She starts giggling with an amused flavor. Then what about Chu Yifeng? Why aren't you going to make trouble for him? Speaking of his wife's godbrother, the sourness and petty nature immediately poured out of this great demon king. Almost frowning, if he didn't protect both you and Xiachen in your times of need, I would have pummeled him to the ground already. Downright bursting out laughing now, Bai Yen went ahead to wrap her own hands around this naked man's waist before leaning her head onto that defined chest. There's a loving air hovering around her eyes, clearly taken by his possessiveness for once. You should stop being so petty, Di Tsong. I only have you in my heart and everyone else is only a friend to me. What she said there was a fact. Ever since Bai Yan decided to take him as her husband, she's decided long ago not to keep any of her inner feelings hidden, only openness and the truth. Sure enough, every drop of that sourness promptly dissipated from Di Tsong's face, leaving only a gleeful look of satisfaction. Yen, I will definitely keep my promise to you. This was his oath to her. Not only in this life, but the next, and the one after that as well, forever till the end. If he couldn't achieve that, then Di Tsong intends to perish in heart and soul along with her if that's what it means to be at her side. After going their separate ways, the man staying behind to get dressed and the woman leaving, Bai Yan didn't make it very far before being stopped in her tracks. The main reason being Wu Xiong standing at the other end of the long corridor of this estate past the bedroom. Lady, I am here to be at your command. Due to being so surprised by the third party standing there, Bai Yan actually flushed with embarrassment and didn't know how to respond at first. How much did you hear? She anxiously asks, dreading the impending answer. Hurrying to shake his head like a rocking drum, I didn't hear anything, nothing at all. Quit joking around. So what if I heard the love talk and moans and cries of this boss lady? I be damn stupid to admit to that now. His worry. 5. Mood improved by the obvious lie, Bai Yan didn't want to press the awkward issue. Instead, she got back to why this guy's standing near her place of rest. Why are you looking for me? Ugh. Wu Xiong grew cautious in his tone. Lady, I am now your slave already. Don't you have anything to instruct me? Landing her sight on that square-shaped face, her expression furrowed and hard. Didn't I tell you before already? You are slaves to the demon race as a whole and not to me, but since you are here anyways, I want you to go help call my daughter over along with Xianxia. Yes, lady. Hurrying to give his bow of compliance, he turns and almost ran for it before being called again. Wait a minute. Go call that He Ling over as well. She adds, causing a look of surprise in Wu Xiong's face before it returned to normal. A while later, Dragoni and the rest had arrived before Bai Yan's presence. The little missy was ecstatic to see her godmother again after the previous night's outing into the local market. Mother! Her voice innocent and lovely as usual. Go pack up everyone, we're leaving this city now. Queen Mother, the milky doll of a baby nearly threw himself at Bai Yan's feet after breaking free from Mo Lishang's grasp. Did you ask His Majesty about my origin? A touch of embarrassment flew into Bai Yan's face over that question. She didn't know how to answer that without making the baby sad. What, was this woman supposed to tell everyone she's been too busy having wild sex last night with her man and then forgot again this morning when they went for a second round? Hell no! Thankfully the situation got resolved by the little missy who bluntly answered him. Hanging his little head, the dolly baby that's Molly could only make a moping face after getting the disappointing response. I promise you, Molly, I will ask for you next time, okay? Giving the baby's head a warm hug, she felt terrible right now for her own carelessness. Still dejected, Molly nevertheless nods in agreement. Okay, Queen Mother, you must help me ask next time though, okay? I really want to know where I came from and why all my kin died. And why the annals recorded in history never mentioned anything about flying pigs or anything related to that in the old stories. This dolly baby has always regarded himself as a special existence, mainly because of the wings on his back. That's why he's never willingly admitted to being a pig. Lady, Wu Xiong meekly chimes in with a smile then, I've called He Ling over as well. Do you need anything else of me? Rubbing her chin in contemplation, he and you will follow me to the mainland. The mainland? He Ling's mouth twitched profusely at the notion. Does she mean that human realm where it's pitifully short on resources, even worse than this border city? As unwilling as he was about going, He Ling didn't have the nerve to object. He could only bow his head and press down his inner grudge for further instruction. Wu Xiong, don't forget your promise. Bai Yan shoots a warning stare over to the big guy before leaving. If you can't get any news regarding Bai Ning, then I'm afraid your only future is to become the playmates of those demons with a peculiar taste in their sex. Shivering right down to his spine. Lady, I will do everything in my power to complete that mission, you can count on it. Miracle, Pun, Holy Land. On a certain beautiful island filled with blossoming flowers and plum trees, two individuals, Lord Wu Wei of the Misty Fairy House and Bai Chang Feng of the Medicine Sect, were arguing with heated flair in their faces that went all the way up to the ear. Meanwhile, on the side was Lord Chu Ran of the Holy Land. He's making a helpless face at the contention between these two parties who barged into his territory on this day. Why did the two of you come to my holy land if you want to fight? There's your own Medicine Sect and Misty Fairy House. Go there instead. My little holy land can't afford to host the two of you, so hurry and leave. There's good reason for Lord Chu Ran to make such a demand. The two over there were some of the strongest cultivators on these lands. If they start a brawl on his home, then it might as well become a wasteland afterwards. So, for the sake of keeping peace on the Holy Land, and for his own home, he must hurry and send these two troublemakers away. Unexpectedly, instead of leaving as told, the look these two gave to this host was that of discontent and anger. This holy island is my granddaughter's place. Why can't I come and see? Rather, it's this old thing here. Bai Chang Feng points accusingly at his in-law. Why is this bastard from the Misty Fairy House here? I want an answer. The matter regarding Bai Ning has always been a thorn in this old grandpa's heart, therefore it didn't take much to provoke it when finding someone he didn't want to see here of all places. Talk about a volcanic eruption. Ignoring the furious look coming his way, Chief Wu Wei first organizes his own clothes before speaking. I came to have a look at my granddaughter's place. Regardless of whether or not Yen Yen is willing to recognize me as her grandfather, my son is still her father. That won't change regardless of your opinion. In other words, their bloodline was inseparable. No matter how angry this old grandpa was, Bai Yen was still his blood and kin regardless of what others want. Bai Chang Feng snorts with derision. Your wife and son aren't bad, I'll give you that. However, until my daughter is found, I will never forgive you for what you've done back then. Against the grief-stricken face of his foe, Chief Wu Wei didn't have any rebuttal. He knows the fault lies with him, so he kept silent on the topic. What else was he supposed to say? That he deliberately didn't want Bai Ning to marry his so back then, and that it's the girl's fault for not revealing her background ahead of time. That's ridiculous even to his own ear. Let's calm down, everyone. This matter happened long ago, plus Chief Wu Wei here knows he's wrong. Lord Chu Ran starts playing as the mediator. More importantly though, didn't he promise to help find Bai Ning at all cost? She's still his son's love, so there's no question about his sincerity, is there? That comment did help soothe the mood in Bai Chang Feng's heart. However, the look of disdain didn't leave the old grandpa's face at all. We will talk when I have my daughter back. If I find out this old thing dares to bully my beloved daughter when she does, I will take both Yen Yen and her away and never let him see them again. I've made some stupid mistakes before. Chief Wu Wei heaves a long sigh in response. I know that, don't worry. As a upfront promise, I will use my remaining lifetime to make up to your daughter and never let anyone hurt them again. Is that good now? Miracle, 2. How come you're all here? It's then when their argument was at a standstill, a faint soft voice cuts in from above and catches their ear. In particular was Bai Chang Feng and Chief Wu Wei, who immediately recognized the said owner. Dressed in a rosy red dress, her figure was mesmerizing under the brilliant light of the glistening sun. It's great that you're all here. Now I don't have to go out of my way to find each one of you. I'm just curious, did all three of you carry the keys for the miracles? If so, can I have it? At first Bai Chang Feng was taken aback by this request and furrowed his forehead. However, he eventually released the tension to only turn it into absolute shock on his old face. You broke into the Saint rank, high level at that? How long has it been since she first stepped into the Monarch rank? How can she make so many breakthroughs? This is ridiculous. Chief Wu Wei didn't fare much better either. He's bleeding inside, one for being the one who pushed this amazing granddaughter away before she was even born, and then destroying the bond that he was supposed to hold as her grandfather. If only I didn't break up my son's relationship with her mother, then Yenner would have grown up happily in my Misty Fairy house. Perhaps her achievement would surpass what she has now with the proper support from the very beginning. You, Chu Ran laments a sigh at the sight of this woman. I still remember when Jing Qi brought you back here for the first time. You were so severely injured that there's not a trace of your body that wasn't covered in blood. But look at you now, quietly advancing into the peak of the saint rank already. Bai Changfeng openly frowned at that comment. What did you just say? When she came to the Holy Land, she was covered in blood. Yes, the Holy Lord faintly nods in confirmation. Back when Xianxia brought her back, the girl's strength was very weak, incomparable to her current strength. What followed had gone deaf to Chief Wu Wei's ear. In his mind, the only thing that kept reverberating across his head was that heart-wrenching sentence, covered in blood, severely injured. As one could imagine, if Xianxia, the third elder of the Holy Land, didn't bring the girl and her son back that day, what sort of fate would have awaited them? It couldn't be good if she got that injured. Thank you. Inhaling deeply, the medicine lord turns to make a deep bow to Lord Chu Ran. There's only sincerity in his old eyes right now and nothing else. Over the years, there had been countless feuds between the Holy Land and medicine sect, but with this truth coming to light, it's bound to be resolved without problem. Why are you all acting so soppy all of a sudden? That happened years ago. Am I not fine and well right now? Bai Yen comes down from the air with her daughter in hand. Isn't that right? I'm fine now, so that's all it matters. Yenner, we've been carrying the key on us from the very beginning. Now that you've reached the minimum requirement, it's time we gave it to you. After saying this, the medicine lord was the first to rummage through his storage ring, bringing out a half-moon-shaped object. Then it was Chief Wu Wei of the Misty Fairy House who brought out a similar item, and when combined with the former, it just so happens to form a glowing shape of a sun. However, it was Lord Chu Ran of the Holy Land who had the actual looking key that fits exactly into the middle of the hole of said artifact. Miracle 3. In a booming flash of brilliance, a ray of white light beams down from the aerial void, landing directly in front of Bai Yan's spot and dazzles the entire island. Moments later, the light eventually subsides, but it didn't leave behind nothing. There's a huge bronze gate emitting a strange glow of divinity after it receded. Bai Yan found herself unable to control her own motor skills. She's like a moth right now, being drawn in captivation to a burning pyre of flame. Though beautiful, it's dangerous and likely to lead to self-destruction. In the end, her entire existence disappears from sight as the light envelopes her body once the gate opens. Lord Chu Ran made a solemn look at this change. Lord Bai, Chief Wu Wei, go call your elite disciples here. We need to stand guard while she's away. I don't know what will happen, but we cannot allow any form of interruption during this period. The two grandfathers nodded in agreement regarding this matter. They too don't know the consequences of this bronze gate being destroyed, but they have no intention of finding out when it's their own granddaughter that's in there. Very soon, a formidable fighting force was gathered at the Holy Land, with many speculating the reason for their summoning. Back over on Bai Yan's side, things were very quiet and eerie. There's nothing but a sea of mist that blocked off her view in whatever place she got transported to. In the end, she could only wander around aimlessly searching for signs or clues to what to do next. Unbeknownst to the woman herself though, she has never been alone since her arrival. Surrounding her within the mist were 4 hazy figures: a tiger, dragon, phoenix, and a turtle. They made up the 4 loyal guards that has always protected her. Minutes later, hours passed. It soon became clear that this wasn't going to get her anywhere, but then it happened. In the middle of aimless wandering, Bai Yan suddenly bumped into some invisible force with her forehead and nearly fell backwards from the impact. You're here? A powerful force booms seemingly from the far-off distance like it's some sort of gigantic flood, causing the female in question to go blank from the wave. Despite the sound signature being clearly that of a woman's, it's hardly feministic or gentle. In fact, it's majestic and strong like a hero of a battlefield. Furthermore, a powerful gush of sadness suddenly overcomes Bai Yan's heart, causing an unusual sense of familiarity for the woman herself. Now that you have come, it proves you are qualified in this life to challenge those from the celestial realm. Regaining her composure after being released from her turbid state, Bai Yan carefully spoke. Who are you? You are me and I am you, the woman's voice explains. Right now the task at hand is to increase your strength. Only by doing so can you deal with those shameless individuals from the celestial realm. Celestial realm? A frown appears on Bai Yan's perplexed face. What happened between you and them? Can I know the reasoning behind the strong grudge? A snarling laugh rocks the world. It's filled with disdain and disgust like that of someone speaking about their sworn enemy. Those hypocrites wanted to use me because I'm considered special in their eyes. When I didn't play along with their plan, they announced to the world that I would destroy everything that is known to mankind. They hunted me for their greed and their deception. And then there's that so-called childhood friend of mine. I trusted him, believed in him when he said he would protect me as long as he lives, but for the sake of the celestial realm, he abandoned me and joined forces with those who wished me harm. Bai Yan's heart quivered at the notion. She's supposed to be listening in from the perspective of an outsider, yet it's not giving her that unrelated emotion that should have been there. It's painful, so painful that she wanted to clench her own heart from the intense pounding. Then that's when the picture of that man in white appeared again, the one from her dreams. She understands now. The unknown individual with his back facing her, he's the childhood friend mentioned here by that voice, the betrayer. Miracle? For a person who ignores her for the sake of the celestial realm. Did you just say you were special? She frowns. Can you tell me why? It took a minute for that voice to return, but it did eventually after leaving Bai Yan standing there. I cannot tell you, it brought me great disaster when I became aware of that truth not long after my persecution. For your safety, you need to wait because it will only hinder your development with your strength. Pausing for a second, the voice seems to have thought of something else. And this wisp of my soul, its mission is to tell you something important. Do you have a little dragon around? Bai Yan widened her eyes in surprise. Are you talking about Dragoni? Yes, you must keep her safe. She is the one who can protect you in the future. In addition, I am ashamed to say that I owe the 4 sacred beasts an apology in failing them. My hope is that you can find them again. Musing for a second before speaking. Suzaku is still alive and well, and I've found Azure Dragon and White Tiger already. Now the only one missing is Black Turtle. Black Turtle? The voice suddenly choked at the name. I remember burying him in another place. If he's reincarnated, he's going to be there as well. I'm sorry, I can't remember where exactly, it's been so long. No matter how powerful one was in life, a wisp of their soul was still just a wisp. Plus, it's been so long, the past was bound to leave this voice like everything in life. Bai Yan looked up, wanting to trail the voice. However, the view has become obscured again by the mist at this point. You don't have to look, you can't see me, and I don't want you to see me either, said the voice with a tinge of cheer in there. What's more, what is there to see? I am you after all. Bai Yan hung her head, contemplating the words she's heard so far and the illusionary dreams about that battlefield. So that's my past life? I believe what you've said, but that's not what I'm here for. They say the 3 keys can open a miracle here, that's what I'm seeking. Only by being stronger can I fight my enemies. The voice suddenly breaks out into a chuckling laugh, somehow portraying no emotion yet able to dazzle Bai Yan into a trance due to how beautiful it was. I did give the items that could open up this place to 3 different individuals back then. I just didn't expect them to pass it down as some sort of miracles. Bai Yan pricks her brow. Not miracles? Then those from the spirit realm really came for nothing last time. No matter, it's good that I got in here. At least I now know what I must do, and the question about that battlefield is now resolved. But, the woman's voice pauses again, what I left behind may be useless for others, but it's indeed a miracle for you specifically. Lighting up in her eyes, what do I need to do? You don't have to do anything. Let my soul merge with you and you will naturally break through into the celestial rank. Compared to the heroic and majestic tone from earlier, the voice now grew softer and more caring. Though the suggestion startled Bai Yan for a second, she didn't back down. All right, what do you need me to do during the fusion? Don't resist my entry, relax and take in everything that is me. I will guide my soul and yours together, becoming one again. Merging of the soul, 1. Bai Yan slowly closed her eyes as instructed, however, it's exactly then a strange force rushed into her mind and dived straight into the soul. It's painful, like a sharp needle piercing through her skin, causing a shudder to run down her spine. Nevertheless, she endures and allowed the other side to enter with ease. Due to the fact that their souls are consciously trying to merge, Bai Yan had the ability to detect everything that's happening from within. This meant that the female soul that entered her body was in all intent exposed to her probing. She wore an average and plain-looking dress, nothing special about that, but the eerie and spooky smirk that appeared on the woman's face sent the alarms in Bai Yan's mind blaring. Boom! Without indication, an intense force blasted the main core that was her own soul, causing a mouthful of blood to come squirting out of the mouth. "What are you trying to do?" she said, biting her lips in exasperation as those hands clenched into a fist. "Kakeeks!" The strange and eerie laugh rocked her mind, making Bai Yan's complexion to go white and losing all forms of color. "Do you know how many years it has been since I was in here? Although I was part of your soul when I first split from you, but now my consciousness is my own and not a simple fragment of yours anymore. If it wasn't for the sealed powers of the 4 sacred beasts in here protecting you from me at the beginning, I would have reaped control of your body from the very start. But you are foolish, opening yourself up to me without a second thought." Quivering at the truth, Bai Yan's eyes instinctively looked up to the sky where the hazy contour of the 4 sacred beasts appeared. They're attacking the barrier that's blocking off herself from them, and they're very anxious and urgent to get to her. A wisp of soul can have their own personality? Muttering this like she's speaking to herself, Bai Yan's temple furrowed into a knot at this new knowledge. It's exactly as this fragmented soul said, it's what Bai Yan's previous self had left behind, but through the baptism of eons past, this thing has now developed its own personality and intends to wipe the original host away in order to take the body. You can't even begin to imagine the sort of things I had to go through. Day in and day out, waiting here in this place with no knowledge of I will ever get out because of you. But you have come, and so willingly at that. I thank you for the opportunity, the other me. Don't worry though, I will love your husband and son like you did. After all, we are the same person in the end. Originally Bai Yan was flustered and even panicked at the predicament she threw herself into, but once Ditsong's name was brought up and the image of that dashing masculine face popping up in her mind, any hesitation and uncertainty was resolved. She's determined, not only for her own life, but for her husband and most importantly her own boy. That naughty yet lovable son of hers, the one Bai Yan could never leave behind. I need no one else to love them, I alone am enough. Don't get ahead of yourself. Bursting open her eyes with fire in them, I am the original. I refuse to believe a mere fragment of my own soul can outdo the original. You will be defeated by me and will submit to my will. Humph, I have never yielded in my life, not this one or the past. Even against the heavens, I have never feared, let alone a mere shard of my former self. Thinking up to here, Bai Yan didn't wait and sat herself into a meditative pose, gathering all her focus on battling this invasive force. Merging of the soul, too, boom. A powerful and raging force explodes out of Bai Yan's core, forcing the invasive soul to backpedal several steps. You're just a high-level saint rank, how is that possible? There's horror and disbelief in the female soul's eye. Sneering, it was her turn to go on the offensive. It may not be possible for others, but it's me. And you're just a part of me in essence. Damn it. A flash of viciousness flared in the soul's eye. Originally she only said all that in order to make Bai Yan loosen her guard. She didn't expect the effects to be counter-effective and make her blow up. I've waited for over 1,000 years. I cannot give up on this chance. I don't want to be just a soul. I want to be a real person. Determined as well, the soul fragment rushed towards Bai Yan's core again, her figure becoming sharp like a blade ready to tear into it. However, forget about drawing close. She didn't even manage that before being blown away by the invisible force. Didn't I say it already? You're just a part of me, and now I'm going to take you back. Bai Yan coldly states this with full-on malice in her words. Then without further urging, her own soul began to spread like a plague, which directly eases the anxious-looking ethereal beasts hovering outside the barrier. No! The soul fragment shrieks, please let me go, I was wrong. I won't dare to go against you anymore, please don't melt me. Unfortunately for this overly confident existence, Bai Yen felt nothing at the plea. After all, it's like she said before, they are one and the same in the end. So, without another word, her own soul completely tosses itself in with the attacker and becomes an entangled hot mess. And since the fusion of a soul doesn't happen in merely just a day or two, it would be a while before her consciousness fully returned to normal. Spirit Realm. Inside a large palace, Lu Qingyu, spy, was sitting quietly inside the garden pavilion when a girl hurried over to make a report. "Miss, your father wants to see you." "He's looking for me?" She cocks a brow in surprise. "Do you know why?" "I do not know, milady." "Then you go first." The lady waves her hand, dismissing the maid with that gesture, and began musing over the sudden summoning. Ever since that day she submitted to Bai Yen at the Misty Fairy House, Lu Qingyu's life hasn't been her own to decide. Therefore, as unwilling as she was to return to the spirit realm, this woman could only do as told. Fortunately, the lies she spouted worked in front of her father's eye and didn't raise any form of doubt, otherwise she wouldn't know what to do then. But this summoning after 2 months of nothing, it worries her. "Uncle June," caressing her chin, a flash of coldness flickered in the lady's eye. "Are you able to guess why that old thing is looking for me?" Lu Qingyu was undoubtedly a noble lady of the spirit realm, but due to her father's lack of care and even disdain for her existence, she's never been able to experience the kind treatment that came with her status. Heck, even her surname was that of her own mother and not her father's. Merging of the Soul 3, Junho's response came right away. "I suspect the Spirit Lord is planning to make a big move." Shuddering inside, Lu Qingyu's posture grew tense. "Let's go, we need to go investigate the matter. I can only hope that the old thing doesn't go to the mainland, otherwise." With Bai Yan's current strength, she's no match for him. At that thought, the lady immediately headed out for the assembly hall, her face pale and unease apparent. Already inside the main hall, a fierce-looking white-haired elder was already sitting atop of the throne chair, his gaze scanning inspectively at the gathered crowd beneath himself. "Sit down if you're here." Stone-hard and unreadable as usual in these types of meetings, Lu Qingyu takes the seat furthest in the back with Uncle June standing right beside her like a protective umbrella. "I'll begin now that you're all here," said he Fei Xiang, Spirit Lord, with his powerful and overbearing voice. "The seal has been lifted not long ago. That means we are no longer limited to this tiny place anymore. Prepare, all of you, we're going to be attacking the mainland." That sent Lu Qingyu into a numbing chill. It's exactly as she suspected, they're attacking. Now the only question remains, were the wording right there? They're clearing aiming for the 3 miracles. Why say they're attacking the mainland as an excuse? "Father, please allow your son I to handle this matter." In the seat furthest to the front, a man stands up and makes this proposal. Despite the individual being young in appearance, quite handsome and dashing even with a face no more than 30 or 40 years old, he's in fact over a century in age. Nodding in agreement regarding his favorite son's suggestion, Fei Xiang didn't have any objection. "Very well, you will be the leading figure in our attack at the main human world. Remember, no one is allowed to live once you are over there. Slaughter them all." This order shocked the lady for the second time today. She's staring wide-eyed in horror. Sure, Lu Qingyu too had attacked the mainland before, but she never told her men to slaughter the weak and innocent. This old thing is going to kill everyone on the mainland? That's genocide. "Father, isn't that too much?" Gritting her teeth, the lady forces herself to make a protest despite knowing the sort of discrimination against herself. "Isn't it enough to simply expel those living there when occupying the mainland? Why must we let a river of blood flow?" "Shut your mouth. Father does not need someone like you dictating what he does or doesn't." Lu, the oldest son, snaps, his voice sarcastic and mocking. "Besides, the inhabitants of those lands are nothing but insects in comparison to us, the denizens of the spirit realm. What right does mere pests have to share in the resources that should have rightfully belonged to us?" Although the level of spiritual particulars in this small little realm were superior to the mainland, but it's still small in comparison. There's food, there's land, and there's many unexplored resources waiting to be exploited. How could Lu endure the boring days that was the spirit realm? I am not dictating father's decision. Lu Qingyu clenches her fist, a flash of anger permeating those eyes. However, before the lady could finish her words, an interruption was shot over in the form of a cold, snickering sneer. You're nothing but a bastard child with a different surname. How dare you talk back to me? Father's words are law, and the world has always been the survival of the fittest. Those insects are only good as a stepping stone for us. Lu Qingyu's expression flew into a rage. If she hadn't known these people wouldn't heed her words, then she might have really lost it. In the end, this lady could only retract her emotions like a stone statue to their ridicules, just like in the past. Merging of the soul for father, she looks directly up to her own father with firm eyes. There is a girl from the mainland, the wife of the Demon King. If we massacre the lives in the human world, I fear it might provoke the demon realm in force. Fei Xiang had a frown on his old face then. It's not like he doesn't know about this intel. In fact, he knew more than he let on to the public. For example, regarding the incident where Di Tsang exterminated the former Snake clan because of that woman, he knows about it too. However, there's not only the 3 miracles that's attractive in this Spirit Lord's eye, there's also many other treasures awaiting him. I am firm on this matter, there's no need for further discussion. Lu Qingyu, the matter is settled and will be handled by your brother He Lu. Piercing her own palm with the nails, Lu Qingyu gets up from her seat with a deep look. Father, you will regret it one day for not listening to me today. Without another word, she turns and left for the outside in a decisive manner. Father, this girl is too wild, are you just going to let her be? We must teach her a lesson. He Lu grits his teeth, curving his lips into a smirk. Teach her a lesson? Son, that can be left to a later date. The first and foremost is conquering the mainland. If you can complete that mission well, I will make you my heir. Yes, father. A flare of delight enveloped the man's eye. That's right, Lu Qingyu, I will be the heir one day, and you on the other hand can only be an insect under my feet. All right, that will be all everyone. Go back and carry out your businesses. Waving his hand, the Spirit Lord dismisses the group. Yes. Cupping their fists, they complied readily and dispersed. Originally, He Lu was still ecstatic at his own future prospect, but that soon changed as soon as he's out the door. What are you still doing here? Huffing a grunt, he asks the woman in white. Are you really going to slaughter the humans living there? Ho, he sneers. Nothing but a group of insects, what do you care? If you don't listen to me, then don't blame me for your own destruction. Squinting her eyes in, Lu Qingyu carried a coldness in there that it's piercing. Just because you are incapable of doing something doesn't mean I will be the same as you. He Lu crosses his arm around the chest, the posture taunting. If you think you are so incredible, then go seduce that demon realm's king. Maybe then father will have a new opinion about a bastard child like you. You, flushing red, Lu Qingyu was done at this point. Whisking her sleeve as she turned away, don't drag me down with you if you're so insistent on dying. Let's not mention the part about herself being Bai Yan's servant. Even if there's not that layer of relationship, she still wouldn't dare go seduce Di Tsang. Cruel, ruthless, bloodthirsty, that's merely a couple of the words used to describe that man. Lu Qingyu had no intent of becoming the second snake girl. After walking out of the estate and out of sight, she immediately turned around to give an order. Uncle Jun, go send someone to inform the demon realm regarding this matter. Actually, forget what I said and go in person. It's already too late to send a messenger. The spirit realm is bound to perish at this rate. I must carve a path out if I must survive in this chaotic era. Merging of the soul, 5. Holy Land. At the heart of this wondrous place, Lord Chu Ran was currently feeling quite uneasy as he stared at the bronze gate in front of himself. Elder Zheng Qi frisked. I keep getting this unsettling feeling recently that something bad is about to happen. The first elder heaves a sigh in return. Lord, you are overthinking this too much. The world right now is very peaceful, so don't think too much of it. I hope so. Making a bittersweet smile, Lord Chu Ran wanted to believe that. However, the unease only grew like a dark, gloomy cloud hovering over his heart. Perhaps he's really jinxed it, but it's then an urgent-looking guard of the Holy Land came running over. His face showed panic and unease when kneeling. "Milord, there is an old man by the name of Junhua seeking an audience with you." "Junhua?" It took a moment before the Holy Lord realized who this individual was and where he's heard the name. What's going on? Why is the spy Yenner sent back to the spirit realm over here again? It can't be. Something bad is going to happen? Making a dark and glum face. "Let him come in at once." "Yes, milord." The guard bowed and retreated in haste. Back over on the other side, Junhua was currently pacing back and forth outside the main gate when he suddenly realized how devoid of human presence his surroundings were. "To think we have fallen to so low." A bittersweet smile curls out of the senior's lip, making him all the more sad in appearance. Despite not being favored back in the spirit realm, none would openly provoke his lady's territory knowing how strong Lu Qingyu was. But now, a simple audience with the Holy Lord requires someone to inform the host first instead of bringing him right inside. That's a very different sort of greeting if it was in the past. Of course, the discontent was still only discontent. This old senior would never dare show it on the surface. After all, this place was by Yan's territory. He'd be courting death to start anything here. Minutes later, the gatekeeper returns with a tone that's more respectful than their initial meeting. "Senior Jun, please head on inside. The Lord is already waiting inside." Along the way, there were countless disciples constantly peering over, their eyes extremely curious as to who this old grandpa was. Nevertheless, Junhua never met their gazes, only following closely behind the gatekeeper so that he would hurry up in the feet. Minutes later, after many twists and turns through the forest and gravel pathways, they have arrived at the central island housing Bai Yan's bamboo cottage. "I remember Bai Yan had you go back to the spirit realm to act as a spy for her. Why did you return so soon? Is there something you need to say by seeking me out?" Lord Chu Ran makes a frown that couldn't be missed. Hurrying over with his hand cusped into a respective manner, "Holy Lord, I came at the behest of my lady to pass on a critical message." "What message?" A wave of unease shook Chu Ran's heart. His worst fears are starting to come true, he could feel it. It's those people from the spirit realm. They want to attack the mainland, and this time they don't intend to leave anyone alive, not even the civilians. Boom. The news was like a heavy hammer, smashing into the Holy Lord's heart until it's crushed and scattered to pieces. "What did you say?" First Elder Xianxia snaps, his expression frantic as he grabbed onto the other man's collar. "What kind of master do you have over there? How can he intend to slaughter everyone, and the innocents as well? Damn it." Breaking into the celestial rank, 1. This world may be dictated by the old ancient rule of survival of the fittest, but no one in the upper echelons would ever issue such a callous order. There's not much other reason, simply because millions of lives are what they call weak. Murdering and slaughtering the main populace? That's absolutely crazy. Only a madman would try that. This order was issued by the Spirit Lord and will be carried out by his eldest son He-Lu. I speculate there will likely be some celestial ranked masters coming with him, so you need to prepare. Celestial ranked? Chu Ran shuddered at the thought, his face extremely ugly. Even if the spirit realm sent a saint rank over, their 3 powers would still have trouble repelling the enemy, let alone masters 1 rank higher than that. "Senior Jun, thank you for your message." Even in the face of such news, Lord Chu Ran didn't let himself fall into disarray. Slowly loosening his fist, "I will let Bai Yan know about what you've done for us and nothing less." Only then did the senior release the breath that he didn't know he was holding in. For Junhua, the Holy Lord's promise was the most important and the main purpose for him coming in person. "There's no need to worry so much, Holy Lord. I have already sent someone to go inform the demon realm and its king. I'm sure reinforcements are coming and that they only need some time to prepare." Making a flattering smile so that he looks sincere, "I'll take my leave first since it's getting late. Please begin making preparations during this period." Arching his fist, Senior Jun didn't look back and walked out of the Holy Land. Once the sight of the guest was gone, Lord Chu Ran didn't wait and narrowed his eyes in. "Zheng Qi, go inform Bai Chang Feng and Chief Wu Wei to come here. Let them know we must discuss the matter as soon as they can make it." As much trust he has for Bai Yen, they could never entrust the survival of everyone in this realm to another outside force. At the very least, they must organize a resistance and backup plan lest they fail in the end. Important seeds must be kept safe and planted for the future. Yes, Lord, the first elder nods, showing the concern on his old face. Perhaps this time will be the greatest our Holy Land has ever come across since its inception. The medicine sect wasn't far from the Holy Land in terms of distances, rather it was the misty fairy house that required some traveling. Even so, it only took 2 days before both leaders arrived at the Holy Land after being informed of the situation. They are too much. Bai Changfeng of the medicine sect slams the table with his fist, causing the structure to shatter into 2 halves. Those blasted people from the spirit realm. It's enough that they tried to claim the miracle in our hands, they also want to massacre the human world? We can't do nothing. Chief Wu Wei was more level-headed when he spoke. Did you not hear Lord Chu Rant's word just now? They say there's going to be celestial rank masters coming with the invasion. Do you think with our strength of a saint rank can resist those people? That remark instantly sniffed the life out of the old grandpa because it's a fact, the truth. Let's not argue on this matter. Lord Chu Ran also had a worried face when he decides to join in their discussion. I've thought of this already. We do not need to defeat those that's coming. Instead, we should focus on stalling them until the reinforcements from the demon realm arrives to help us. That should be enough to secure our victory. Breaking into the celestial rank, 2. What solution do you have in mind, Lord Chu Ran? After stabilizing his mood, Bai Changfeng asks with a deep concern in his old voice. Gather your elite disciples and remaining elders here. We will transfer them to the Holy Island. Why? Asked the old grandpa with a perplexed look. It's because one of my forefathers left behind a protective barrier around this island here. It's able to resist the attacks of a celestial rank for several days. That should be enough time for the reinforcements to arrive. Regarding the barrier around this holy island, not even Chu's daughter was aware of it. That's how much emphasis the Holy Lord had for Bai Yen when he gave her this place. But what about the others? Bai Changfeng laments a sigh, knowing full well what it meant for the less important members. Gritting his teeth, one could literally hear the hardness in Lord Chu Rant's voice. I cannot watch over that many people, so retaining our main fighting force is the utmost importance. Only by having the seeds protected will we be able to confront those from the spirit realm in the future. Settling down to get his act together, they will have to hide at the heart of the abyss forest with those demonic beasts. Bai Changfeng and Chief Wu Wei both got it now. The man was gambling that the spirit realm wouldn't dare to openly attack the members of the demon realm. Sure, demonic beasts aren't capable of taking on human form yet, likely never will in their lifetime here in the human world, but they are still considered part of the demon realm. If they're slaughtered as well, it's bound to start a large-scale war for the transgression. I have noticed it through that Lu Qingyu's attitude from before. They're extremely cautious of the demon realm. I've confirmed this fact from the old texts in my treasury. Demons haven't always been so weak here in the mainland. In fact, they were feared and often avoided due to the protection provided by the demon realm thousands of years ago. The situation only changed after the various realms were sealed. So, I'm betting on those people not daring to enact the same carnage they wish to carry out on us to those living in the abyss. Chu Ran carefully explains his reasoning, believing it's logical and a good choice considering the circumstances they have to work with. Very well, we will do as you say, muttered the medicine lord. However, I will need to trouble you to bring my disciples over from the medicine sect. I still have other things I must do. What's the matter? I'm going to pick up the lawn house. Making a faint smile, the medicine lord didn't bother to hide his wish. They are the only ones who didn't abandon Yen'er during her time of need. For that, I must keep them safe for her sake. I cannot allow my granddaughter to lose another family member. I know this will take up more room on the island. That's why I'm willing to subtract a couple of spots from my side to accommodate that family. Chu Ran actually gawked his mouth in surprise before issuing a long sigh with his head shaking. Taking that as his way of not agreeing, Chief Wu Wei immediately grew hurried like his counterpart. If not, we can subtract some spots from my misty fairy house. The Lan family must be able to hide inside the Holy Island. Making a bittersweet smile of his own, Lord Chu Ran decides to stop teasing the two. Let's stop arguing. I never said I won't agree. I'm just lamenting how lucky the Lan family is. If they didn't have such a wonderful granddaughter, they might not make it through this peril. Though the face showed a willingness to help, but the eyes were that of worry. If we work fast starting from today, I'm sure we will be able to accommodate over 3,000 people on this island. As for the Lan family, there are only a few of them, they can't take up much room. The promise elevated the tenseness in the two grandfathers' posture and even changed by Chang Feng's former opinion of the Holy Lord. But, Chu Ran continues, in order to keep Bai Yen from being disturbed, I will still keep the surrounding area around the gate off limits to the disciples and elders. Breaking into the celestial rank, 3. Releasing a long breath that was in him, Bai Chang Feng knew there's no better arrangement. That's fine, I will go bring the Lan family over now. According to his calculations, that household should only have around 9 members in total if he included the aunts, uncles and kids. However, there's also that old dowager of the Lu Hua kingdom, she's also highly favored by his granddaughter, that's why he's also going to bring that woman here as well. In total, that makes 10 spots. Right now, the calamity that's about to befall the mainland was still unknown to most of the populace. In fact, it's calm like a serene puddle where there's no ripples on the surface. Is what you say true? Old Lord Lan spurts this after hearing it face first from the medicine lord. Bai Chang Feng didn't want to beat around the bush, so he firmly nodded in confirmation. I would never use the vast number of lives in this land as a joke. Chief Lan, do come with me to the Holy Land where it's safe. I'm sure Yenner would be very sad if anything happens to you. A response didn't come right away from the old grandpa who's known to have a bad temper. Instead, he gazed down at the floor as if contemplating something before looking back up with a helpless smile. I've seen many things over the years, whatever turbulent wave and wind, I've experienced it all. Take my wife and children away, I'm staying behind. Chief Lan. Bai Chang Feng frowns, not approving the decision in the least. What do you mean? Showing a bittersweet smile, look around my home, it's not just my family who lives here, there are those who've followed me through thick and thin. When my household was at its lowest, they never once thought of abandoning us. Now in front of such great danger, I cannot leave and ignore their lives. I owe it to them for that loyalty. At this moment the medicine lord felt like a rock just got chugged down into his throat, suffocating him from shame. How could he not turn red after hearing such proud words? He's the leader of one of the great powers, and what does he do? Leave behind most of the disciples while keeping only the main ones at a safe place. Regardless of the reasoning, it doesn't change the fact that he's abandoning them. Suddenly, the door got pushed open and in came an old lady using a crutch. Behind her were Lan Yu, son, and the rest of the family members. They're afraid the grandmother would suffer some sort of accident from exploding in rage. Old man, what are you planning by driving us away? Don't think you can stay behind on your own. The old madam of this household has always been elegant and gentle by nature, for her show such anger was beyond fathom in the eyes of these children. It didn't help either when she kept smacking the floorboard with that clutch and looked like she might tip over from the loss of balance. Wife? Old Lord Lan sounded hoarse and troubled in his voice. You and the children need to leave with Lord Bai, don't worry about me. Did you not hear what he said? Me and the rest of the household will head into the abyss for refuge. The old madam huffs a grunt. Of course I heard what he said, but what makes you so certain those enemies wouldn't attack the abyss? I don't care, wherever you go I go. That statement has left the old stubborn grandfather in a bind. He wants his wife and children to be safe, but he also couldn't abandon the rest of the household to their own fate. Loyalty versus love for his family, the struggle here felt like it's tearing the poor man apart. Please listen to me first, Chief Lan, said the increasingly concerned medicine lord. Making a cough, I and the demon beasts living inside the abyss forest are on somewhat familiar terms. Since you are so adamant about keeping your followers' safety, I will personally make a request to them, asking the locals to offer shelter to your men and women. They will be safe, that you don't need to fret. There's no lie. Old Lord Lan still sounded skeptical. Flashing with light in his eyes at the flicker of hope to change this stubborn old guy's mind, Bai Changfeng doubles down on the offer. If you are willing to come with me to the Holy Island, then I will keep that promise, of course. If you are not willing, well, I'm sorry, but I will have to take some drastic measures. Don't blame me afterwards. His argument sounded great and all. Heck, it's very tempting even for the average gentleman. Sadly, there are risks involved regardless of how much sugar he added to those words. What if the spirit realm invaders decide to ignore the Holy Land and go slaughter the demon beasts in the abyss for some unknown reason? So, even if he has to drag this stubborn old man along, Bai Changfeng would do it regardless of the individual's wish or will. Breaking into the celestial rank 4. Chief Lan, I know Yen'er doesn't want to see you in danger. If the threat can't convince you, then I might as well directly knock you out to leave. Slowly rising from his seat, Bai Changfeng's voice carried a faint hint of threat, showing how serious he was about the matter. Old Lord Lan was completely taken aback by this picture. Twitching in the corner of his mouth, the stubborn old grandfather didn't expect this famed medicine lord to be so despicably shameless. I have also heard that your eldest grandson is currently trying to woo the current queen of the Fengqi kingdom, is he not? Although that lassie isn't one of the core disciples of the Holy Land, but with my influence, I can also get a spot on the Holy Island for her. What do you say, Chief Lan? That's a good offer on my part, isn't it? All smiles there. Bai Changfeng whipped out the carrot and the stick, leaving nothing untouched in this discussion. Almost crying in his old face, old Lord Lan felt like a helpless kid right now in front of his own family and relatives. Making a bittersweet smile in the end with obvious worry for the rest of his followers still. You're already going that far. What else can I say when it's either me being knocked unconscious or come willingly? Chief Lan, let's do this. Go speak with your people and have them all wear the exact same uniform. This way the demon beasts living in the abyss can recognize who they are and keep a close eye on their safety. The abyss forest is treacherously dangerous to begin with. If anything, those from the Lan family can flee with the demon beasts when the going gets tough. They should have enough room to hide in that vast stretch of land. Then I will have to bother Lord Bai to arrange this, said the stubborn old grandfather. Old Madame Lan and the rest of the family were very much relieved by the stubborn man's compliance. They honestly thought he would get stupid again and refuse to leave with them. With the main goal completed, Bai Changfeng figured it's time he told the rest of the world about the impending danger and how they should head to the abyss as well for safety. The ones whom believed the news didn't hesitate and promptly packed up their luggage at the first sunrise. The quickest to move would of course be the flower brothel and the alchemists that Bai Yen helped produce. Hualuo has always been faithful to her mistress. By leading over 1,000 members under her, she led the first batch into the vast forest that made up the abyss. As for the second wave of refugees, it had to be the demon beast sect that submitted to the little steam bun a while back. They are firmly in belief that the boy was their savior, and what other convincing did they need when their prize dragon was now acting all tamed thanks to the boy's arrival? Unfortunately, more were of the opinion that Bai Changfeng has lost his mind due to being old and senile. It couldn't be helped. The homes, the territories, the wealth, these were all precious to the commoners and lower factions out there. Telling them to abandon everything that was their foundation merely based on a single man's words were ludicrous. Inside the bronze gate, sitting crossed-legged on the ground, Bai Yen had an air of white constantly surrounding her body that's exuding a faint blue glow. Boom! Suddenly, a streak of heavy thunder rocked the whiteness in the sky before landing directly onto the woman's body. Breaking into the celestial rank, 5. Like a stone sculpture sitting on the ground, she doesn't move. Boom! A flurry of lightning strikes came smashing down in succession, one stronger than the last. It wasn't until half an hour later did the trial come to a halt and allowed the glow from her body to evaporate into the air. Because of the fact that she made the advancement inside a separate space, those outside remains unaware of her breakthrough still. Half a ring later, Bai Yen finally opens her eye and looked around at the 4 false shadows surrounding herself. Seemingly aware of their mission being completed, the love and yearning they gave were undeniable. Even so, the shadows eventually returned to the darkness despite their unwillingness. Bai Yan's heart clenched at their departure. Though she knows they do not exist in this place, but the instinct to reach out doesn't change. One day I'll reunite the four of you, then we can fight our way back to the celestial realm. They will pay for what they've done to you all. Inhaling deeply, Bai Yan eventually rose from the floor and continued to walk further inside. It's just that her journey didn't make it more than few steps before stopping again. Not far away, a black pool of thick nauseous liquid was giving off a nasty smell into the air. It's making her uncomfortable and she didn't like it. This pool of energy. Why is there something like this here? Can't be my soul fragment mutated because of this thing? That's why it produced its own personality and wanted to devour me? Her expression gradually grew heavy, getting a strong suspicion that this dark, gooey mass wasn't right. Noticing an object next to the pool, Bai Yan immediately stepped to the side and got hold of the item. It's a bamboo scroll upon first glance. Alchemic recipe? When reading its content, her eyes nearly popped out from the name. Heck, even her hands were trembling with joy. 10th grade alchemic recipe, Godhood Dan pill. It's true that when Bai Yan first attempted the 8th grade pill in the Misty Fairy house, it was very difficult, mainly due to her body being unable to resist the thunder strikes from above. However, she's already at the saint rank now. Her flesh has been transformed and reborn, meaning it's very possible for her to try this recipe. 1 Godhood Dan pill, 1 celestial rank. Due to the effectiveness of the medicine, the process is extremely demanding with very difficult to procure ingredients. In addition, the alchemist's soul must also be strong, otherwise the pressure will cause permanent damage to the lower half of the body, effectively crippling the individual. Bai Yan went silent upon reading this part. I just merged with a fragment of my soul, that should be enough, right? Pausing then, she got hesitant and became unsure if this was the right move. The reason why this alchemic recipe was sealed and graded as a 10th grade formula is because it requires the strength of a celestial rank to refine. I hope that whoever can get their hands on this would use it to the benefit of the future generations. This way my efforts wouldn't be for naught and forgotten. Godhood Dan pill, 1. Retracting the bamboo scroll into her storage ring, Bai Yan's sight now focuses back onto the pool in front of herself. For some reason, the image of a huge black dragon kept creeping up into her mind the more she looked at it. Not wanting to twiddle with something even she felt uncomfortable toying with, Bai Yan quickly left the premise and continued forward. It's a good thing too, because the deeper she went, the better her senses became due to the increased amount of spirit particles around the air. That swept away the earlier discomfort created by that puddle of black liquid. She suddenly stops, showing shock in her eyes over the garden of herbs and rare ingredients. Incredible! There are so many rare herbs that I never thought I would ever come across, and the ingredients listed from the recipe is also here. The more Bai Yan stared at what lies in front of herself, the more excited she became. With all this I can try making that Godhood Dan pill today. Standing not far from where she stood was a withered old tree. It's completely black in color to the point where it looked like it's been burned to a crisp, yet the surface gave off a shiny sheen like some sort of marble material. But that's not what alarmed Bai Yan the most. It's one of the dried husky leaves that dropped to the floor. On the very moment when the flimsy-looking sheet of organic material hit the ground, it instantly vaporized into a wisp of black smoke and flew towards the general direction of where the black pond was located. Understanding now. So that's why, this is the reason why that water is contaminated, it's from this tree. But why is this tree doing that? I have never seen anything like this before. A lot of questions remain unanswered, but since the tree was planted by the original owner of this space, Bai Yan figured there must be a reason. Perhaps there's a use for that black pool of water even. Pity though, she's in no condition to start pursuing the matter. Gathering the herbs and ignoring her own curiosity, it didn't take long for Bai Yan to gather everything and to get the needed ingredients ready for her impending refinement session. I should do it here. If outside, the thundering strikes might just wreck my entire island. The image of her neat little cottage and lovely garden being torn to shreds didn't sit well with this control freak at all. That decided, she immediately brought out the cauldron to begin working. How funny, heaving a long sigh. Back on Earth I died because I was trying to refine a 9th grade Dan pill, and now I'm challenging something even harder and more powerful. This time I must succeed. Failure is not an option. Stern and serious in her face, Bai Yen flicks a finger and ignites a fire beneath the cauldron. Then with careful precision, she uses her powers to send each ingredient mentioned on the list into the container for further processing. Across the continent making up the main body of the human world, blood was flowing and staining this landscape from top to bottom. It's a dark time right now and no one was safe as the invaders attacked in mass. For those unwilling to heed the warning, they were the first to go trying to defend their own homes. Sadly, whatever resistance they offered the attackers from the spirit realm were futile and were quickly squashed. Sir, the territory up ahead are homes to those monsters in servitude to the demon realm. Should we continue to attack? At this moment He Lu was riding atop of a magnificent-looking steed with a pronounced high lineage. This eldest son of the Spirit Lord was reveling in his glorious conquest of the human world, and could care less about the obstacle up ahead. Godhood Dan Pil, 2. Father's order is that no one here in these lands are allowed to live, and since these demonic beasts are living here, they too are within that range. Sir, said an old man next to He Lu, the demon as a race have always been very united against outsiders. If they learn of what we do today, it might just provoke a war between the two realms. He Lu snorts derisively at that comment. I heard the granddaughter of that medicine sect is the wife of that demon king, and didn't we attack her before? It's the same as declaring war. What does it matter if we slaughter a few demonic beasts now? The old man frowns and got more disgruntled in his face. The Spirit Lord have always been wise and intelligent. How can his son be so clueless and foolish? The two issues cannot be compared together. The denizens of the demon realm aren't stupid. No matter how prestigious a queen is, she's still only one human. We can always claim to be unaware later and use that as an excuse. What's more, they're already at war with the celestial realm. They wouldn't want to be confronted on two different fronts. By then, we can just feign ignorance and compensate with some sort of material gift. As for the monsters here in the forest, the old man stifles a smirk to avoid showing his own disdain for others. It's well known the demon realm have issued an edict to every other realm long ago. Anyone who attacks their kin will be hunted down to the ends of the world. Consider sparing these demonic beasts as a favor to the demon king. After all, we're already going after his queen. In other words, his opinion was that the demon realm should thank them for sparing their kin and not be infuriated for even having that idea. I don't intend to kill the demon queen. What do you mean by that? Narrowing his eyes in, He Lu turns to stare at the senior wearing the pine flower patterned robe. This old thing, relying on his strength as a celestial rank to defy me. He's even daring enough to refuse my orders. Even if we claim not to know of that woman being the demon queen, but what if? Pausing, the old man attempts to let his words sink in. What if the demons refuse to leave the matter be even with compensation? He Lu burst out into a sniggering laughter. It's cold and derisive as it rang across the city. So according to Elder Yuan's wording, you want us to not kill anyone from the medicine sect, Misty Fairy House and Holy Land as well? Is that what you mean? No, the old man shook his head. The monsters are known to have a short fuse when protecting their own kin, that's true. However, when have you seen them protecting humanity? Even if the demon king pampers his own queen, the woman's relatives are only ordinary humans. We can kill them and any other human without having to worry about the repercussion from the act. At most, the demon king will only ask for some sort of compensation in order to satisfy his woman's need. Compared to the wealth this land provides, that's nothing. Elder Yuan, an insufferable anger fills He Lu's chest. Don't forget what my father's orders are. When carrying out the invasion, you are to assist me in my goal. So, I'm telling you now, whether it be humans or demonic beasts, all must die. Red in the face, the arrogant man's spit was flying all over the senior's face when he started yelling. Stone cold without a hint of emotion now, Elder Yuan responds in a rather bland voice. If you want to go die then you can do it on your own, we here won't accompany you into the abyss forest. You, pointing his accusing finger with grit between his teeth, good, very good. Once we get back to the spirit realm, I will report everything to my father and have him decide. Godhood Dan Pill, 3. Heavily whisking his sleeve, He Lu was done with this and turned away. He knew trying to force the matter won't get him anywhere, especially when the other side was so open in dismissing his order. Due to the news of their invasion being delivered long ago, the core members of the three main powers have long gathered at the island making up the heart of the Holy Land. It's crowded, very crowded to the point where the occupants could hardly find room to stand around, let alone lie down to rest. Sir, Elder Yuan suddenly raises a hand after finding how eerily quiet and displaced the Holy Land appeared from the outside. What's wrong with you? He Lu turned back again, his face exasperated with frustration due to the repeated delay and insubordination. Don't you find it strange that the Holy Land is so empty? Elder Yuan says with a frown. In fact, I've noticed it along our way already. Of the many forces that has been squashed by us, many have either abandoned their homes before our arrival or are lacking in defenders. I suspect our whereabouts have been exposed. Unlike other times when they attacked a place, they did not linger in a single area for long, only sending a couple of their subordinates to perform a massacre at the local ruler's home. Sure, in comparison to Bai Yan's strength, these grunts wouldn't pose much of a threat, but to the average cultivator and lord, they're hugely superior and were easily overwhelmed. Just as Yuan Qiu was undecided and meditating on whether to continue, a fluctuation in the air instantly caught his senses. Those old eyes lit up as a result of this fact. There are people there. Leaning forward in an attack stance, the senior's figure instantly disappeared from sight for whatever's ahead. He Lu was very ugly in the face right now after being tossed behind. Sadly, the old bones that's constantly dismissing his authority was the strongest subordinate among his group, so he could only stuff the complaint and follow. Under the effects of a hollering voice, the noisy clamoring on the island was instantly sniffed out. Yuan Qiu of the spirit realm is here for a visit. Might the hosts of the Holy Land come out to meet me? The words may be polite, but the tone was sharp and tough. So they're here. Getting up right away, Lord Chu Ran clenched his fist with a solemn expression. He could see the old figure standing up in the air staring down at him. Bai Chong Feng and Chief Wu Wei weren't looking great either on their faces because they didn't expect the spirit realm's people to come so quickly. Thankfully the preparations are complete, otherwise disaster would be today's ending. He Lu and the rest arrived soon after, and when he saw Chu Ran and the others all gathered inside the island, his mouth involuntarily laughed aloud with boisterous glee. So you're all hiding in this place, huh? What? Think just because of that we can't do anything to you bunch. Someone come, slay them all. Yes, sir. At the word, a shadow from the back instantly shot out like a lightning bolt and aimed straight for the heart of the island. Due to the immense speed he used, it's almost impossible for the individual to stop at this point even if he wanted to. Boom. That's the sound of the individuals slamming into the invisible wall. The invader never expected a barrier. So, not only did he suffer an incredible injury from the impact, he also ends up flying backwards from the recoiling force of his own making. Godhood Dan Pill, 4. The excitement gradually seeped out of He Lu's face, his eyes squinting with icy intent. What's going on here? Yuan Qiu's reply came moments later in response to that. There's a barrier seal around this island. It's blocking our access to it. Barrier? He Lu snarls derisively. That subordinate of mine is already at the middle level of the saint rank. What barrier can stop him? A saint rank may not be the strongest within the spirit realm, but in this land where the strongest was only at that level, it's already an unshakable existence. Sir, there are always stronger people out there, and it's not surprising for this holy land to have some sort of barrier in place either. Focusing his attention back onto the island after that explanation, the senior takes a step forward. I will go test the barrier for myself. Boom. Throwing a punch that's been infused with a sizable chunk of his own powers, Yuan Qiu only wanted to assess the level of resistance from the attack. However, the repelling force completely took him by surprise, knocking the poor elder back several steps and leaving a trickle of blood coming out of his mouth. He Lu should have been worried at the sight, but of course, he's a small man with a very small heart. Without so much as a word of comfort or inquiry, he started to sneer and clicked his tongue in contempt. Elder Yuan, can you do it or what? I thought you were strong, that's why I brought you along. Who could have thought that you would be so incompetent that a simple barrier can stop you? The old senior was injured to begin with from that recoil, therefore the words were extremely effective in causing further damage. If Yuan Qiu hadn't experienced so much in life, he would have already started to puke blood from those damnable words. Inhaling deeply and ignoring the ignorant fool, everyone of the celestial rank and higher, come to my side and assist me in breaking this barrier. At the drop of that order, several powerful individuals immediately stepped forward from the group, their eyes cold and stern when standing next to their leader. The following attacks were fierce. Though the barrier continued to hold under this bombardment, the people inside were definitely feeling the tremors as a result. Lord Chu ran, "Nothing will happen, right?" asked the medicine lord with a concerned voice. Twitching in the corner of his mouth, the Holy Lord attempts to reassure his peers while also reassuring himself. What else can happen? This barrier seal is something my forefathers left behind, so it shouldn't fail. Of course, there's no way to confirm that belief right now since it's been ages since the seal has been activated. Maybe it's been damaged in some way due to wear and tear? Father, Chu Yi shrinks her neck in while clinging to her old man's back. It's obvious the princess of this holy land had some doubt based on her demeanor. Are you sure this barrier is reliable? Why do I feel like your words are not believable? Coughing awkwardly at being pointed out, although this barrier won't last forever, it should be adequate until reinforcement arrives. Don't worry, Yi, it will hold. Unfortunately, the next quake from the impacting blows came as soon as those words left this mouth, further destroying the credibility of that statement. Who's he kidding? It's a direct slap across the face. Embarrassed and spluttering now, it's going to be all right, nothing's going to happen, boom. This time even waves had started to rack up along the water's surface, causing many standing to falter and stumble. No matter how much Lord Chu Ran attempts to soothe himself, it's too much. Turning to look at those celestial rank masters, he's pale and anxious in the face. Dramatic breakthrough, 1. Chu Yi just couldn't help but twitch in the corner of her mouth over her old man's expression. It's not reliable, and the consequences of such a blunder would mean a long river of blood today on this island. Lord Chu Ran, do you feel it? It's then Bai Chang Feng of the medicine sect spoke from the rear, the grandpa's face showing heaviness on the surface. This question startled the Holy Lord, but his furrowed brow quickly turned to amazement after he sensed it as well. Why is the spirit particles in the air so much stronger than before? Under normal circumstances, Lord Chu Ran would have long noticed this drastic change in the air if his attention wasn't so focused on the attackers outside the barrier. This wasn't normal, heck, it's at the level of shocking even, that's how dense the air felt around them. Fast, quickly cultivate. After his initial shock, he immediately commanded. This must be Bai Yan's doing inside the miracle. We must take advantage of this and train while it lasts. Not saying another word, the Holy Lord immediately got to the floor and went into a meditative pose, allowing his skin and pores to take in all of the energy floating around the air. Others also followed suit after seeing this. Naturally, the improvements in this amazing opportunity would depend entirely on their own efforts, but it's going to be high when the air was so thick with energy. Meanwhile, back outside the barrier, Yuan Qiu and his fellow attackers were flabbergasted by the actions of those inside. It didn't make sense why someone would start training in a time like this when their lives are about to be sniffled out. These people, did they go mad because of fear? He Lu almost fell into tears from his own laughter. It's mocking and disgusting. Do they really think a few minutes or hours of training is going to make up the difference? We have several celestial rank cultivators here. They must be truly desperate that any idea is a good one now. Swoosh, but the ignorant and foolish are always going to be taught why they are wrong. Right as he's thrown the mockery out there, a gusting storm promptly gathered above their heads, shocking and causing He Lu to pop his eyes out in disbelief. Isn't this a bit ridiculous and easy? How can they make a breakthrough on the last minute? Then before their eyes could register this reality, a series of beaming pillars of lights rose from several individuals from within the barrier, showering the world in a rainbow assortment of colors. What's going on here? Grim in his face, Yuan Qiu asked his men with a tense pace in his breath. If it was only a single person, then it can still be a coincidence, but there's so many at once. It can't be. This holy land still has a trump card up its sleeve? Back over in the heart of this lake island, those who are trying to make a breakthrough, this includes many of the disciples and elders, had automatically blocked